And welcome. You've got myself, Doug Baxter, and Commissioner. Am I pointing the right way? No. Commissioner Chris Back here at
Gonna take some
Football
getting used to.
Rivals. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys? We are back from a long vacation. Hope your holidays were good and well, and
Yeah.
got
Happy
Baxter
New Year.
using- yeah, happy New Year, happy holidays. It's a weird start to 2025. I've already put the wrong date down a couple times, but
I haven't had to write it yet. So we're super excited. You know, the break was not without a lot of hard work. We've been putting together what you're about to watch now, 32 brand new teams that you've never seen anywhere before in real life, in any sim leagues. These are all custom new teams for Football Rivals. Back, why don't you tell us a little bit about just your general thoughts and feelings on why it was important to do a league with just completely unheard of teams.
yeah, I mean that's the whole plan from the start. Shout out to the guys that have been with me from the start, which is mainly Fry. Sorry, with Hobbs. But Anthony Fry and a couple of the guys that have came with us from other leagues. But we wanted to start a league that was, the college experience was going to be the root and ground the league, and these guys making these rivalries from playing 2 to 3 to 4 seasons against each other, in a custom setting. As custom as you can make college, but in the end, you can only make college as much as you can.
Yeah, right. I mean, move the Big Ten around a little, or put somebody in the SEC, but it's still college.
We had a
right?
relegation. Go back and watch it. We had a relegation video where we relegated and got through and everything, and that'll probably happen. We'll probably continue to do that stuff in the college season, but college season, it's wrapping up. We did come. We had the long break. Issues. Life is life. Stuff happens, but. Everybody luckily, I'm very thankful that I was able to round all you guys back up. And, we're going to finish the last couple weeks of college season and roll right into the first draft. And that was the original plans. I mean, I had Fry has seen them. You've probably seen some of them, but
yeah.
I have notebooks full of notes of, the original plan was to go, college, then I have a pro draft, a pro season, and or maybe a minor league, but we'll see where that goes.
Hey, you never know. You
down
never
the road.
know.
I wanted to do a high school, like an abbreviated high school league that would happen, like at the front end of the college season. But who knows? We'll figure out. The bigger the board gets, the bigger the league gets.
Right.
Who knows what'll happen? But we wanted to have a fully customizable professional league, where the owners, like if you came in as an owner of an organization, you owned every aspect of the team, where you couldn't say, well, the commissioner won't let me do this, or Baxter won't let me do that. And it's like, screw that. Do whatever you want. It's your organization.
Yeah.
If you suck, you suck. It's just like real life. You're paying the money.
Yeah.
Run it
If
how
you want to make a
run
bad
it.
trade, make a
Exactly.
bad trade.
If you're the number
right?
one draft pick 10 years in a row, cool. You get the hype of the number. You get to be the Cleveland Browns. You get the number one draft pick every year for 10 years in a row, but
Hopefully
you're still going to be paying the same amount as everybody else.
That's right.
I mean,
you won't be winning the cash prize at the end of the year.
You won't get any of the prize money. You won't get any. Maybe your players will get awards, but you as the owner of the organization will not get a damn thing. So
yeah,
it's all, we want it fully customizable from the. From if it's a single owner, 2 owners, 3 owners, 10 owners, but you will have that one face of the franchise that
let's call it the GM. We'll say the GM.
Everyone has to have, how many ever owners there are in an organization. You have to have a general manager that answers to us and the board, and it's gonna be cool. It's cool to have. Everybody's like, oh, there's not enough red teams. Cool, come in and make a red team.
Right,
Screw you.
right.
Who cares?
And that's
we want it to be
a great
fully
place
custom.
to start, right? Yeah, we want it to be custom, but we got to start somewhere. So we had to build 32 teams out. Now, over time, our hope is that some of these teams get replaced. If you want to come in as an owner, you say, I want to be an owner, but I don't want to own any of those teams. Great. Then there's a little bit of an added, cliff you got to climb to be taking over a team and rebranding it. But it happens, right? We've seen expansion teams. We've also seen teams rename in real life. So that's something that we encourage, and while this is the first year So we have to announce all these 32 teams. We hope that in 5 or 10 years, a whole bunch of these teams will have stuck around and been legacy teams that people really love, and then people have also introduced new teams to the league. So we're excited about kind of the ever-changing opportunities that are going to come with this league. But we got to start somewhere.
Yeah, and I've told y'all you guys before too, and it kind of sucks because we have spent, the time off that we took, we did spend, some of it was off, but the last month or so, 2 months, has been legit. Just we took advantage of the time to build the league, the professional league, build the team the way it's going to. And I can't give you enough props, man. I mean, everything. That's why you have the title you do, whichever side I need to point to. But that's why you have the title you do, man. I mean, we couldn't have done any of this without you to get that into the game. So we could have, but it would have taken 7 times as long.
Right.
So.
It takes a village or a guy who does professional creative for a living.
Yeah, and I mean, and I'm good at ideas and grunt work. So I'll give you the ideas, you do them, and I'll do all the work. So,
but it has been cool because you and I actually met in another league, and look, there's lots of simulation football that you can be a part of out there. There's tons of great leagues. Find one that works for you. We thought after our experiences, maybe the best thing for us was to start our own because we had so much experience doing it, but we also had sort of these feelings about maybe how a league should be run, right? There is a league board, and once you're a team owner, like Beck said, you can make a trade. We're not going to tell you no. We're going to tell you, woof, that might be a bad move, but if you want to trade away the next 4 first-round picks for somebody, hey, that's your bridge to cross.
Yeah, I mean, and that's honestly one of my biggest pet peeves that in other leagues that we have been in is the constrictive control that I'm trying to not call out anybody.
But, it's not about who, right? It's just about what.
Yeah, I'm talking about just the powers that be won't let you do what you need to do. And sometimes you got to make a bad decision and realize, man, we screwed up. We should go. Or we shouldn't have let 2 or 3 of our draft picks go.
Yeah.
And I mean, but everything's still going to come through us, mainly for advertising and social media aspects of it, and to let everyone in the league know. But yeah, if we're still working out the kinks, but if it's human to human trade, whatever you want to do, it's fully your organization. Screw it up how much ever you want, win how much ever you want.
Look, we've got 32 teams to talk about, but we also have to talk about the fact that there's 2 conferences, and while a lot of our game is going to be modeled off of Madden in the NFL because that's the base game that it's built in, we want to still bring our own flavor and personality. So this first conference that we're talking about is the AFC still, but it's the Apex Football Conference. That's
in the game.
That's right. It's a pretty sweet name, Apex Football Conference. So it's still AFC, but as far as we're concerned, these first 15 or 16 teams that we're going to look at are in the Apex Football Conference. The Canton Crush. Tell us about the Canton Crush, Beck.
Yeah, we wanted a team in Canton. We wanted a team, the birthplace, the historic, anchor of professional football. And we wanted some of the logos. Again, all 32 of these logos are different. All 32 of these organizations are different.
Yeah.
And something I was going to say that I interrupted my own self a minute ago was when you were talking about when we came up with the teams, is if I hope in 10 years none of these 32 teams exist anymore, unless it's just a legit legacy team. But
I was going to say there's one that I think is probably going to be around, but
But yeah, it's just to get back into the Canton Crush. We went with kind of a honestly there were 3 or 4 or 5 of us coming up with names and logos. We're kind of restricted to cities in the game right now. Once we go full mod, but that's another story. Once we go full mod, you can go wherever you want to go. But right now, we wanted to go with Canton, the historic football team, and it's just so happens, like you said, we've simmed what 20 years into the future.
Yeah, so technically the file is in the year 2041. So we just wrapped up the 2040 season. And I guess we should talk about this a little bit because, we have to not only display 32 teams, we also have to figure out what's the fairest order for the draft. So we talked a lot about this. What is the best way to bring a level of fairness to the draft? And we said, okay, well, let's just let the computer decide. We'll sim a season right before our season, and that allows us to make sure our sliders are good, which great slider. We have the best sliders, we have really great sliders for this season. We've been messing with them a lot. They're going to create incredible gameplay, but we wanted to just see, okay, well, what does the computer decide happens? And unfortunately, the Canton Crush only won one game in that 0 year, as we're calling it, and they get the first pick in the draft.
Yeah, and so to go back onto the college, everyone that you've seen in year 1 and year 2 of the college season, all the guys from year 1 will be in the first pro year draft.
Right.
So we'll have the pro season draft 1, and all those guys that are that were in the college series are going to be in the pro draft. So we'll be having that in a couple months, and it's this, like you said, guys in the background working on sliders and everything. It's going to be a fun league, and Canton Crush are the first team that you guys get to see from the league, from everyone's collaborative efforts. And it so happens, like you said, going through that year 0, if you will, that the Canton Crush will be the number 1 team, the first draft pick, the first team to draft a college player from College Football Rivals college season. College year 1.
I'm sitting on the quarterbacks right now, and maybe that's just because I have a hunch that Canton is moving on from their 32-year-old quarterback. They've got another player on there that's 27, but he's already considered to be a bit more of a bridge QB as well. So, we've already been starting to have some guesses, and I'm sure we'll have another podcast all about that. What's the mock draft, potentially. So once we get through these teams, we'll show you the draft order. But they're not looking good at quarterback. Could be a large reason why they had such a tough year.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're going to show at all the like the top 10 prospects or anything in the draft. That could probably be another episode.
Yeah,
but yeah, they're hurting at quarterback there. You see, the next guy's a 78 and then a 68, and like you said, he's already the 32-year-old. He's a bridge quarterback, and it's looking like a lot of the mocks that we're seeing, a lot of the stuff, they're gonna go quarterback here and replace this guy.
So, it would make sense, if we're going to start a year off, a new pro league, why not start with a quarterback drafted number 1?
So, some of the top quarterbacks from year 1 that'll be in the draft, you've got Smokey Smith.
Yeah.
Jimmy McNamara, who, I'm in love with Jimmy McNamara. Dude won a national title at Texas A&M. Got booted for Kai Cash, who's having a phenomenal year at Texas A&M. He's gonna be a guy to watch in his draft. But McNamara went to Georgia, and he has Georgia currently at number 4, I believe, trying to make another push for another natty.
Yeah.
In the college season. So McNamara is a good, strong choice for he might be the first draft pick ever. Smokey Smith's a good, solid choice.
Or they might go different way. Maybe go disruptive edge rusher.
They could go
great
Brandon
receivers
Smith
in the draft.
Brandon Smith from Florida State. He could be a great pick. You don't know, but like you said, if you kind of go through this roster a little bit, they're just to kind of give a little backstory on everybody. I didn't see as many Canton Crush games in the year 0, if you will, but they are legit first draft pick team. They need a lot of help. They've got a lot of old guys.
Yeah, aging for sure. A lot.
Yeah, and all the young guys are in the low 70s. So
yeah,
they're top. Yeah. Oh, and do we want to go into the? We'll talk about that later. The devs and everything, but we'll talk about that.
Sure. Yeah, we can sprinkle that throughout. I'm sure that is going to come up at some point. Yeah, as you can see, not the best team. You got 2 80+ overall D tackles, but they're both 30. When your middle linebacker is 78 and 32 years old, and your next one is 25 and 69 overall, like it's just a rough team. They have secondary as far as corners, but really weak as far as safeties. Just a a poor team all around, and I guess deservedly so, getting the first pick in the draft. I don't know what else to say about the Crush other than they deserve the first pick.
Yep. I mean, it's going to be a rough go. Any owner that comes in and chooses the Canton Crush, you have the first draft pick.
Yeah. Good luck. Should we move on to the next team in the AFC North, the Apex North?
Yeah, that works.
All right, we're going to show you guys the next team right now. Ooh, Columbus Crusaders.
This team was a kind of near and dear to my heart. I had a lot of input on this team. There's a lot of teams throughout Ohio that are Knight or Crusader logoed, mascotted. So I wanted to try to keep, a lot of private schools in Ohio are Crusaders or Knights and stuff of that sort. So anyway, so I wanted to go with the Columbus Crusaders. Other leagues I've been in, Columbus is near and dear to my heart. I'm a huge Buckeye fan in real life to, help out with the Buckeye recruiting for the college years. But, so yeah, the Crusaders, they look good. Love their logo, man. It's one of my favorite logos, one of my favorite uniforms. I didn't know
it's a sharp uniform. Yeah, actually.
Yeah, I didn't know if we were going to show
I guess I could tap in. Yeah, why not, right? I should have done that with the Crush, but we'll show the superstar linebacker, Juwan Black, and his Crusaders get up here. Which it's not only do I think, and again, I'm super biased because I made all the uniforms.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite logos.
But not only the uniforms, the logo, but also just the field, the end zone. Like the Crusaders are a low key, a very cool team. And if I were gonna take over a team that was not another team that I'm taking over, I would take over this team for sure.
Yeah, they were one of my the year zero teams that I was kind of coasting through with, kind of watching. So yeah, I always have a really cool Knight logo in my leagues, and this is gonna be a good. The Crusaders are gonna be a team. I mean, even look at the font on the jersey. I mean, the Crusaders are gonna be a sharp team. They're gonna be a good team.
Yeah,
they're solid. I don't remember what their draft pick is, but
you could check the Neon, which we do have a Neon Sports website, and that'll give you a lot of information about our teams, which will be dropping probably in the chat in this episode right now. So feel free to check that out. You can check out the draft order. The Crusaders, I think they were like middle of the pack.
Yeah, I mean, they had a pretty good season. They made the playoffs. They were like the number,
maybe like 6 or 7. Yeah. I think they just snuck in there, but still
they're a good team. Solid team.
Good team. They may have to make some decisions at quarterback. You can see they've got a pretty decent quarterback in Deion Howard, but he's 31. He's 83 years old.
And the next guy's old.
Yeah, next guy's old. And then, as you start to cycle through their offense, their halfbacks, nobody over 80. Their wide receiver room is a little better. They have a 90 overall wide receiver who's been an award winner in the past. At 83 and 80 overall, those guys are a little bit older. Then you got a 75 overall who's 23. So they've got a little bit going in the wide receiver room. They've got a little bit of an aging tight end room as well. But ultimately they've got a solid offense. They've got a solid offensive line. They've got, what you need to at least start with a team, So I think anybody who takes over the Crusaders is certainly going to get a quality team to start with that can compete kind of right away, but definitely with lots of rebuild potential.
Yeah, and they were one of those teams that they didn't have, too many rushing yards, too many passing. They were a good balanced team. Their defense was solid. And like you said, they're one of my favorite teams in the league. And they're, whoever picks them, this is one of the teams that I hope never goes away.
Yeah, same. And they do have a great secondary. So if you're looking right away, potentially even, and we've been, pretty open to the idea of, hey, if it's your team and you take it over and you have a cornerback that you think makes a better safety, like you can move that guy back to safety, so they definitely have a good secondary core nucleus, but you kind of may have to make some decisions with where you put guys.
Yeah.
All right. Should we keep trucking here? We can get into the third team in the AFC North here.
Yeah.
All right. Next one up. That is the Omaha Railstorm.
Yeah, the Railstorm. They were they're an interesting team. again, another team near and dear to my heart. Everyone that knows me knows I grew up all over the place as a child. We lived in Omaha 2 or 3 times at not Wright Pat, sorry, well, at Offutt Air Force Base. So yeah, Omaha's a home away from home. I like to always have an Omaha team, and kudos to you. This was a logo that I did. This was a logo I did not see until I saw it, and it came out pretty dang good. I like it. It's better than Cyclones or Tornado. I mean, which they get. But
well, you know, there's a little homage to. I used to be a big fan of trains when I was a kid, and you know, if you're going, you know, anything about the Heartland, it runs on locomotive power. You know, so I thought that was a nice homage, and you know, the anybody who's tried messing with Madden Team Builder this year, it was painful. It was a really painful experience, and I'm super glad that we have 32 teams in here. I'll be the first to say, I wish I could get some redos. But we're rolling with how the teams are, and overall, you know, this is one of the ones that I'm also really happy with. I believe this is also one of the teams that has an alternate uniform, so they got a home, away, and an alternate, which is kind of like a neon electric green, which is really cool. And I just also really liked watching Bobby Jones in the 0 year. He's kind of like a big Joe Flacco type. You know, he's getting a little older, but man, dude has a howitzer for an arm, and there was a great game between them and another team that I cannot name yet. It was just a lot of fun to watch, and maybe at some point, because we have some of them recorded, maybe at some point we'll release some of the 0 year games just for fun, so people can see some of that stuff. But he was definitely a fun quarterback to watch, and just a fun team to watch play. They have a cool vibe, and yeah, like you said, Omaha's a cool place and totally deserving of a pro football team.
Yeah, and they I did see some of their games that were posted in, and they're a good team. They're a good, solid team too.
Solid, yeah.
I don't think they made the playoffs,
or if they did, they were like a 7 seed and bounced early.
Yeah, but they're just like the Crusaders. This is the AFC, or the Apex East.
Apex North.
No, this is East. Apex
no, it's North.
No, you're right. This is North.
North.
You're right. This is the North. Because we'll see later. Someone is
That's
introduced.
right. That's
yes.
right.
Yes,
but yeah, cool team. You know, they've got an elite cornerback, and maybe now is a good time if you want to touch just a little bit on kind of dev traits, because that's going to be important as long as we're in Madden. And I think people are going to want to understand kind of what's our philosophy on dev traits and how we view them.
So with dev traits, it's one of the reasons why I wanted a board in this league, because as a commissioner, I would have 0. We would have no dev traits. No one would have anything. If this was a dictatorship, they'd be gone. But talking to the board and everything, to start off with, at year 1 there'd be 0 dev trait. But we need to have the history. We need to have the players that did exist in the game. In the history of the league. So we are going to have, I believe it's 10 X factors.
Yeah, it's rare air, right? Like it's everything's rarefied air to get a dev trait in this league. You're talking the elite of the elite.
Yeah, so there's 10 X factors, I believe, 15 superstars and 50 stars.
Yeah.
And it's legit. I mean, we went through days of stats and videos and watching and arguments about players that deserved them, and to get it, we want the dev traits to be a reward, and there will be no abilities to start off at all. So we will have dev traits, but there will be 0 abilities. And what was the other thing that we decided?
That people, you got to earn them, and it's one thing to earn them, but it's another to implement them. So there's probably going to be some sort of system to. It's one thing to get it; it's another to actually get the abilities from the dev trait.
Yes, I mean we will have abilities, but yes, you've got to earn them, and they're going to be like a. We've talked about in the Discord with other members before. It's going to be like working at a professional organization and having. I want to work on my passing ability. So once I get the X factor, I've got it. But what can I do with it? So, then you work with a trainer. You hire. You use your in-game and in-league credits money, whatever, whatever.
Which
term
again
you
is
use.
incentive based. It's you get that type of money by showing up and participating. It's not about putting in real money. It's about putting in real time.
Yeah,
and
this
sweat
is not going to
equity
be a
into the
pay to
league.
play league.
Right. It's a show up and play league.
Yeah. So it's we're gonna work through it. It's gonna be clunky at first, and people are gonna hate it or people are gonna love it. We're hoping we're hoping people meet in the middle like we did.
Yep. I
Yeah,
can tell you the
there's-
games are awesome to watch, like
Yeah.
regardless of dev traits or not. Like I think our sliders are going to be one of the keys to our success. It's just, we've both been parts of leagues where the games are just not fun to watch or
overpowered. Yeah,
overpowered. The Superman stuff happens and the superhuman stuff that's unrealistic. I'd be hard pressed to think of, and I watched a lot of our 0-year games. I'd be hard pressed to think of any real moments that stand out as going, that's just not realistic. Like this is very realistic. Maybe a little bit still on field goal attempts, which is really hard with Madden to figure out like what's going to make them choose a field goal attempt or not. But I mean, that's still even rare. I think our sliders are great, and it's really going to pay off in the long run. What do you think? We got one more team in the AFC North. We want to move on and showcase those guys. All right, let's do it. Up next, our fourth team of the AFC Apex North. The Pittsburgh Prowlers, with one of the few X Factor players in the entire league, Jarius Harper. He's basically Saquon Barkley. Guys, he's insane.
He ran over the whole league in the year 0. It was pretty fun to watch his games. But
he's a receiving threat. He's a running threat. One of my favorite plays was him just beating a cornerback on a go route, and just burned him for like a 70-yard touchdown, just over the top. Just an awesome player. The Prowlers are going to be, let's look at Jarius Harper. The Prowlers are going to be a tough team, man. They have really good players, and when you got a guy like this, one of the only 10 X Factor players in the whole league, it's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, they're a team. We want it. I love the North. I'm usually a team in the North.
In the leagues we've been in,
cold weather, physical blue collar type teams, and these guys look it. They're a hard. They pound the ball. Jarius Harper, he's a great running back. Pittsburgh deserves a team. They'll always have a professional team. And
he was second in the league in rushing, but
it was close though.
He played like he was first. I mean, the guy who came in first for rushing yards did not have the type of moves that Jarius Harper does.
Yeah, and this was one of the logos that it took us probably weeks to come up with all the names of the logo.
Yeah. I
came up with the Prowlers, and I was picturing like an animal of some kind.
Yeah.
You're like, what if we kind of go, anti-hero and make it an actual Prowler?
Yeah, like sort of making the bad guy good a little bit, but also like that's kind of a cool vibe, right? Because also it matches the way they play. They play kind of this sneaky, aggressive style, and then they'll sneak up on you and then just attack, and it's just they're a fun team to watch. They have some cool alt uniforms too, where it gets even darker than this, where it's almost like a midnight purple kind of blackish.
There's a couple teams that have like 3 to 4 uniforms, and they're awesome.
Yeah, curse you, Team Builder, for not letting us get as many teams as we wanted with all the alt stuff. But yeah, the Prowlers are an awesome team, and we're not going to go through the full rosters of every team because we want you guys to be able to check out the Neon Sports link and start to get excited about that. So we're just kind of giving you a little bit of a peek of some of these players here per team. Anything else on the Prowlers, or should we move on to the next division, which I believe is AFC South?
No, that's all I got. They're good. They're a good, solid team. Every team in the North is pretty much a legit contender, with the exception of the Crush.
Yeah, with the exception of the Crush. Right.
If you pick the Crush, you didn't show the Crush's uniform. They have a pretty sharp orange uniform.
That's true. I will. I'll see at the end if I can go back and do that without.
Because I know you don't want to show any other team names until we.
Well, let's start checking out the AFC Apex South. The Houston Hoplites. We're looking right now at defensive end Andy Myers. You can kind of see they kind of have this sort of Spartan hoplite it's actually what it's called. It's a warrior.
Yeah.
And this was one that I think Fry really loved.
Yeah, we were trying to come up with something, and we kept waffling back and forth, and I forget why. I came up with something. We were looking up. We wanted each team to be like rooted in the city it was in
somehow. Yeah.
And I remember, I think they had like a Greek background or something. Like the city of Houston had like some Greek. So
there was some sort of ties. For the most part, they all have some sort of tie, but also the alliteration's nice. Little HH.
Yeah.
But they're a fun team. They certainly have. Some talent. You can see you're looking at 94 overall, but he's aged out. A safety at 90, a young, talented defensive tackle who's almost a 90 overall at only 25 years old, 24-year-old 86 receiver, 25-year-old linebacker. So you can see they've got a good nucleus. Maybe one of the first places, if you were to take over the hot place you'd want to look at, is actually quarterback, a 33-year-old 82 overall quarterback who may even go down some once those bumps wear off. And he's a mentor and a bridge QB right now, so you're taking over Houston. Quarterback might be the very first place you're looking, whether it's free agency or in the draft.
Yeah, they were a good team. I liked watching them. I got to play them, record some of their videos for the year zero, working on the sliders and stuff. And they're a good team. I liked them. They had a good defense, if I remember correctly.
They did have a good, probably better on defense than on offense. Whoops.
Yeah, and like I said, that's one of the uniforms that I'm actually like a lot. One of my favorite logos. So
strong, classic. Yeah.
Yeah, good solid choice for somebody wanting to come into the league.
All right, so if you want to talk about kind of exotic and really kind of in the other direction, let's see this next team in the AFC South here. And that's the Memphis Mojo.
Yeah, this is another one of those that I didn't see until I saw. They were supposed to be another logo, same colors, different team, different logo. But I love this. I like the logo. It's just
kind of like a voodoo shaman.
Yeah, it can be either like really dark and evil, or it can be like really fun, bright.
Right? Mardi Gras, sort of festive. It's kind of got this real nice fun vibe. They also have several color uniforms. And Zach Burr really balled out for them. Zach Burr was one of those guys where we were trying to figure out from a dev trait, like he definitely deserved one. Was it star or superstar? We ended up settling on star for some other quarterbacks, but he is a great quarterback, and I wouldn't move on from this guy based on the way the Mojo played. The Mojo should have played worse based on their team overall, but man, Zach Burr just balled out. He did end up with an injury, as you can see, to finish off the season. Yeah, he did not get to close out the season, but he had a really good season overall.
Yeah, like you said, the Mojo, they're one of the teams that have a couple alternate uniforms to wear. So, their uniforms are sharp. I mean, they're pretty damn cool. The logo, I love it. The team's good.
They got a purple field.
Yeah, they have a purple field. That's some teams, again, as an organization, if you want, as long as it doesn't look horrible, because we do have to approve everything.
Some standards. Yeah, we got some standards and practices. Yeah.
But yeah, as long as it doesn't look horrible, you can do whatever you want in your stadium and your field. So the Mojo's a pretty cool team. I like them.
Mojo's definitely a fun team.
They've got some room to build from.
They do. They've got definitely, as you can see, young running back, kind of middling age receiving core, which is probably why Zach Burr was able to play so well, but definitely depth at receiver. You can see, getting down to 23 and 24-year-olds that are high 70s, and you got late 20s that are high 80s. Like, they're just stacked at receiver. Mm-hmm. They've definitely got some room, to mess around. They got a really good tight end. We'll see how much longer Kerry Sharp plays at that high level. Their offensive line, if I remember, was okay.
Some work at tight end right there.
Yeah. Their offensive line was good, but I think they had a couple guys that were starting to age out. Yeah, but then the interior was younger. So they're just a good mixed team. I think definitely the type of team where if you want to take over somebody and not have to make a ton of changes, you'd be in a good spot, but also the type of team that might benefit a lot if you just made a couple calculated moves, whether that was a combination of free agency and trades. And one of the things we're not at the benefit of seeing right now is which players from which teams are actually up for contract renegotiation. I don't remember off the top of my head for most of them. Well, I will say Rashad Spellman is a superstar cornerback. He's just elite, man. The guy, I think he tied for the league lead in interceptions in the 0 year.
Which was only like 7, I believe.
Yeah, or it was maybe even 5. It was not a ton.
7.
Yeah, that was one of the things we noticed with the sliders is there was not a ton of interceptions, but also you guys have probably watched some games for some other leagues where it feels like there's way too many. So we were pretty happy with the balance that we found. It made the games more focused on how good your offense and defenses were, not just were you randomly turning the ball over. Now there was also some fumbles that happened, so you maybe a couple more fumbles than in other leagues and a few less interceptions. So overall, the turnover game is probably appropriate. But man, this guy was an elite shutdown corner. 6'1", 180. He's not only a 92 slot, but he's a 90 zone and almost a 90 man-to-man. So he's just basically a shutdown elite corner. He's awesome.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, too, they have a top 10 draft pick. So
I believe so. Yeah, I think they're number 8 they're somewhere in the top 10. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so the fact that they have some good players going on here, and they're going to have a high draft pick, really good position to be in. Let's see, actually, pick 13, so just out of top 10.
Yeah,
but good place for them to be. Good team overall. Let's see, next team in the South, we're gonna go check out. This is a team that may be controversial. We'll find out. The Oklahoma City Natives.
This is one of my favorite teams. This whole league is my favorite, right? I mean, I love them. We made them. A lot of these are from. I gave you a huge logo dump and said make these if you can, and this was one of them. I always have this team in my league. They've been in past iterations of showing my age here from NCAA whatever. But yeah, I mean the Natives are awesome. This team is off limits as an owner. This is an owner ran team, so
it's true.
The Natives are off the board. So everything you see, while they are awesome, and
don't fall in love. This guy, Tony Pearson, there was definitely some conversation about him. He was, I think, 3 sacks away from leading the league, and he only played half the games because he was injured. So we just felt like, gosh, imagine he would have set the league record if he played the whole year. So the guy's an elite pass rusher. If he gets injured again, though, I'll tell you what, he's probably losing that dev trait the next season, I'd imagine.
Yeah, he won't. He won't.
But great team. Another, what's interesting is, and I know why this team was taken, because this team, like the team that someone else took, were some of the worst rated teams in the league. So the guy who took this team said, you know what, I want to take the worst rated team, but as it turns out, got a couple of really good guys on the worst rated team.
Especially on defense.
Yeah, so you can definitely build around. He's got 2 superstar players.
But go to his quarterbacks, because this is another team.
I
don't remember what draft pick they do have. I don't think they have a top 10, but I know they've got a top 20.
They have got the 21st.
Yeah,
you're close.
So there you go. So I do know, they've got that older quarterback.
Yeah, Blair Cartwright.
I mean, we can say who owns it, right? I mean,
I think it's safe.
This is Baker. This is Baker's team. So Baker, it'd be interesting to see what you do at quarterback there if you stick with them for a year or two, because you do have that 30-year-old sitting there.
Yep.
But they both might retire next year, so who knows?
Yeah. I mean,
and then you got a 29-year-old. I mean,
I was gonna say you got no youth at the quarterback position, right? So,
so maybe you hold out for a Burt Bean from Michigan.
Or who else is in that year too? Noah Roberts.
Noah Roberts from Georgia Tech. I mean, maybe you stick it out for a year.
Toby Fortune, NC.
Toby Fortune. Yeah.
But they're going to need a quarterback.
The Alabama quarterback is a computer generated, but he is
good.
whiffing on the name right now, but he's a great guy.
Look, this league does not look down on generics. Okay.
Oh no,
Look,
absolutely not.
Like the league is going to be
his first draft
right.
is a generic.
I was going to say right.
Two of them are.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. So
McNamara and the kid from Duke. I can't think of his Warren or
yeah, Darren or no.
We have built so many guys.
I was going to say, yeah, man, trying to reach for names between building the college players and building the pro leagues, and
we're finishing the college season out.
So yeah, suffice it to say, the Natives are a strong team that Baker's just going to make even better. You know.
Yeah, and Baker's. I mean, he's a great owner.
Yeah, he knows how to build a team.
Yeah, that's why when he said he was interested, we were overly welcome to help in the league, and he actually has he's on the board also. So if you have any questions, reach out to him.
Let's see this last team in the AFC South here. Here we go. We were talking about the San Antonio Law.
Again, when you see the uniforms, this is an awesome team. You got to have a cowboy in Texas.
Man.
So,
and these guys are like, I think if I'm being totally honest, a little bit of inspiration from like original X-Men. Like the blue and yellow. Mm-hmm. And if they're going to be the Law, laying down the law, keeping the peace, or whatever it is, using their superpowers for good. I thought some blue and yellow was a nice fit. For these guys, and they're a lot of fun to watch.
They are. It's a cool team, cool logo. I don't know as much about this team's roster as you do, but yeah,
they're an interesting spot as far as their draft pick. They're picking in the top 10, so it's interesting because their roster looks better than they played. So I was surprised to see them play kind of subpar. And I don't know, and I wasn't, in fairness, watching them as much as some other teams. I think there was a couple injuries to the San Antonio Law throughout the season that were like prolonged injuries. So that could have something to do with why they lost more games. But overall, they're still a good team. I mean, they got a young running back. They've got young receivers, could definitely get better at receiver. But they have good tight end. They have decent offensive line. Center needs a little help. But they've got 2 tackles on right tackle that are over 80. They've got a pretty solid defensive line. I definitely remember there being some injuries for them, and that's got to be, their defense has got all guys sitting in the 80s. They got a 90, 84, 80 cornerback room. 84, 26-year-old free safety. So, I think they just underperformed, which is maybe a steal if you want to come in and take over a team that already has guys in the mid-high 80s and a couple guys over 90. Your quarterback's obviously getting older, but if you're looking for a solid nucleus and you just want to pop a quarterback on a team and kind of go, the Law are much better than the 8th overall pick. So somebody's going to get a steal if they end up using the Law.
Yeah, they're a lot like the Crusaders. They have an aging quarterback room where you can stick it out for another year and, then draft. The year 1 draft has solid choices. The year 2 draft is going to have 20, it's almost 30 human user draft picks that you can take. And a lot of them are quarterback. You're going to have a lot more quarterback options.
I was going to say.
So if you can stick it out a year with what you have, you'll have some user quarterbacks that are able to actually train and update and advance and get better in their abilities. So,
and Bolden will play. I mean, if you want to stick with him at quarterback, he's got 93 throw power. He's got high accuracy for short and medium. He throws on the run well, under pressure well. So, and quarterbacks don't retire at 30 years old, 32 years old in this game. So you could probably get another year or 2 out of Bolden if you want to groom somebody. Maybe trade away Hopkins. I don't know what you do with.
Yeah. Again, it's your team. Do what you want. So
yeah. All right, so that's it for the AFC South. We are going to move on to a slight bias division here. We're going to move on to the Apex East, and we will start with a team that is very near and dear to my heart. The Buffalo Brawlers. That's who we're talking about.
Worst team in the league.
Or the
this is obviously your team, so I'll let you talk
my
about
team.
it.
Well, look, let's just keep it real. When building the file, a lot of people know when you build a Madden franchise file and you sim way into the future, one of the things you often forget to do is to turn on automatic re-signings of your players. I forgot to do that. I always knew the Brawlers were going to be my team, so when I'm building the league, I'm just sitting on the Brawlers team, and then I advance 20 years into the future and realize, oh my God, like this is now the worst rated team in the league because nobody re-signed any of their good players. The one benefit that came from that was this guy, Andrew Frost. So the Brawlers were the Canton Crush, a year or two before, and they drafted the year before I stopped the sim. They drafted this guy, Andrew Frost, at number 1 overall. He played half of his rookie season, and then the 0 year, he was the starting quarterback the whole year. Didn't they go on and end up becoming the 32nd pick in our year 1 draft? We'll put it that way. But he also, his tape, I mean, is crazy. I sent you a bunch of the clips and highlights. And
and you can see he's got a superstar X factor, so he earned it. He was the year 0 MVP of the. We haven't decided what we're going to call it yet. Probably the Rival Bowl, but
yeah, he was it was the MVP of the championship game. He was not MVP of the league. We'll talk about that later. But he was MVP of the championship game. He was top 2 in passing yards. Over 40 touchdowns passing, several on the ground running. Just an elite quarterback, and which was kind of troubling for me because I told you guys, like, I was really looking forward to picking the worst team, assuming I was going to get a high pick and assuming I was going to get to pick one of our, year 1 college players into the draft. So now I have the 32nd pick instead, but I have a stud quarterback. So, there could be worse problems to have, but the Brawlers were just a lot of fun. They led the league in offense. They led the league in defense. They definitely do have the most elite players, and that's just the way it turned out. Like I'm lucky in that regard, but I couldn't do anything to make them that good. That was just happenstance, and I'm definitely going to ride the coattails of it as long as possible. But one of the downsides is that they're going to be in a little bit of a cap situation because this guy's already 2 years in. He's entering his 3rd year. He's going to request a monster contract.
Yeah.
There's several players that are just really good on this team that are going to, that are hitting a strange age wall. And then you got to find out, what do we do with these guys? Do we really re-sign them? Do we let them walk? Do we get some trade value out of them? So while they're good and they're probably going to be good to start our first year or two, I think it'll be more interesting to see kind of what happens with the Brawlers as we go on into the league. Can they keep up kind of that premium, high play style, or is it going to start to suffer as they just get upside down on contracts?
Yeah, and I mean, they're definitely going to be, right out the gate, they're a good, solid team. They're an, good average team that, to me, overperformed their first season.
They really did but they were still rated the 2nd worst team in the league. Just that's a matter of good playbook. Very few injuries overall for the most part, and having a great quarterback that blossomed.
Yeah, and again, to go back with the teams, this is your team. You live in this area.
Yeah, I live about 5 minutes from the Buffalo Bills stadium. I can hear the cannons on game day when we score. I used to have season tickets. I see several of the Bills players through my job pretty regularly. So yeah, I'm obviously a Buffalo guy, and to bring a rough and tumble brawling team to Buffalo is super cool for me. I got the hat, I got the hoodie. I'm ready to roll. Moving forward, you'll probably see a lot of Brawlers swag as I podcast.
Yeah, and that, again, to go off that, it shows. I like their logos. I like their team. Their field, their end zone is one of my favorite end zones.
It is cool.
I like their field. I like their uniforms. I think they have 2 or 3 uniforms too. So
yep, they do have an alt uniform that's kind of called a bullseye. So it's got all red. Even the helmet's red in there. So definitely some fun stuff.
They're gonna be a good team to watch.
Yeah, no matter what, they're a fun game. They put on a fun game, and the only 2 losses. So they went 15-2 in the 0 year. Only 2 losses were both division losses. So they were to two of the next three teams that we're going to see are the only teams that they lost to all year. So speaking of that, I guess we should get into the next team here in the Apex East. So if you think that the Brawlers seem familiar, see if the next team strikes any familiarity bells for you. We're talking about the Orlando Sharks.
Yeah, this is another team that I had a lot of input on. I'm not a huge fan of the city we had to go with. I think we had them pegged for another city, but again, it's going to work. It's a great team, great logo, great uniform. Good job there. I think they have a couple uniforms also.
Yep. They got a kind of a cool field as well. You know,
their field's really cool.
Yes.
Obviously with Orlando, with Florida, you're going to go with like Sharks or Panthers or something. So, we're kind of limited in that ability. But I love the logo. I love the way it turned out.
Yeah, it makes them seem a little more aggressive. I think their draft pick is number 12, so they're just outside the top 10.
They're right around somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, this was not one of the two teams that the Brawlers lost to. I will say that the Brawlers swept the Sharks, which if you're like a Bills-Dolphins nut like I am, then that meant a lot. But they do have a really good team. I'd say they underperformed. They should have been much better. So this could be an interesting team to take over.
They're going to get hit by the age bug soon, but
the
first year or two.
Because they'll probably play well in this first league year because it seemed like an anomaly, but they got a 96 overall defensive end next to a 93 overall defensive tackle, an 86 overall outside linebacker. But again, you're starting like Beck said, you're starting to hit that age wall with some of these players. You can see scattered amongst the 26 27s is 33 33 30, and that's not great when the highest overalls on your roster are sitting with guys that are 33, 33, and 30. So not a great look, but I do think that they'll be good for somebody. It's just whether or not you want to rip the Band-Aid with some of these guys or what.
Somebody needs to come in and run this team and be able to run a team logistically and financially correctly, because it is what it is. We will not be helping you with salary caps. We will not be helping you with trades or free agents or anything at the end of the season when the deadline hits. If you can't hit it, then you got to make it work, or else you're out.
Yeah,
I mean we can't.
Or you're losing guys to get your salary cap right sized.
That's what I'm saying. You got to do it. It is what it is. It's real life. There's no extra room anywhere. There's no less room anywhere. Everybody's playing on the same field.
And what the salary cap is in the game is what the salary cap is. You don't have to do any funny math.
Nope.
You don't have to figure anything out or add or subtract. It's just if you can meet the salary cap that the game requires, then you're okay.
And so I'll take a minute to say too, we're going to go through all 32 teams, show you everybody, quick run through of the rosters, and then there are 5 to 8 owners, including 2 or 3 of us that are already in the file that helped build it. But once these owners come in, they're going to come in from this point, and they're going to have to re-sign their guys. We're going to give them the benefit of the doubt from simming ahead and doing the year 0 to kind of see where they want their teams to head towards year 1. So
yeah. And some teams have big decisions. There's a couple teams that a big time quarterback is walking or has the chance to walk away, and they don't have the salary cap to sign that guy. So there's a couple teams where don't fall in love too quick. Check out the Neon Sports link. Check out what guys are potentially available in free agency that might not sign with their team. So
because once you come into the league, because again, this is a prize league. There will be cash payouts. Everything you do will earn you real money in the end. Yes, you want the clout. It's for fun. It's for camaraderie. But in the end, you're here to earn your money back.
Cash is king, baby.
So once you come in, if you pick the Sharks and you're like, I'm pissed, I don't want to be the Sharks anymore, you're stuck with them for a year, man. I mean, if you decide you want to drop them after year 1, cool. But you're probably not going to get picked up by the board.
Yeah, that's a
If
great
you're a
point.
team switcher.
That's a great point. I mean, it's one thing to be all in on a league. We are not we're not inclined to have people hopping teams. Maybe if you go through a realistic coach or GM type of scenario where you give it a shot for a few years, it doesn't work out. Sometimes you get rehired, but getting hired isn't as simple. In our league, as just paying cash and being in. Like you have to be approved to be in because this is a serious thing. We don't want people nuking teams or blowing up the league because they're deliberately trying to tank a team. Like that's the type of stuff where the board would step in.
And at that point, once I see your if someone's doing that, I'm not even going to contact the board. I'm going to pause all privileges and rights for that person, and then we'll discuss it.
Yeah.
But you're more than likely gone. We're not going to have someone screwing our league up. So
yeah, a lot of work went into putting all this together. So we want people to take it as seriously as we do. And I guess if we're going to get serious, we should talk about the two teams that actually beat the Brawlers. So let's go ahead and take a look at one of them, which I was stunned that these guys beat the Brawlers, but it's good to stay humble. We are talking about the Toronto Blizzard, a team that underperformed, overperformed. They were kind of all over the map.
Yeah, they were weird.
But they've got the 17th pick. Yeah, so lost some games that they should have won some games that they should have lost. Ended up kind of right in the middle, kind of a no man's land for them. Mm-hmm. But a decent roster, and definitely something that you could take advantage of. If you're I'd say there's probably a team for a savvier GM to come in.
Yeah, they one of my favorite logos. This is another logo that's close to me. I like how we didn't get to have the logo that I wanted, but I love the logo that we went with. And cool helmet, cool uniform, everything about it. I like their field.
Yeah, they played. I think the field is called the Cooler.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I'm shout out to you. Props for giving. All the stadiums and fields have names. Well, and that's pretty cool watching.
Yeah, they're little like tip of the caps, to the different places or the team that's playing. But yeah, the Blizzard, it's one of those teams where you may even want to wear, the whiteouts at home just because they do have some cool whiteout jerseys. But yeah, they have an interesting makeup on roster. You got two quarterbacks, 28 and 29 years old, that are both 84 overall. Then you got a 23-year-old who's 81 overall. So, the Blizzard are actually set up for success, but somebody's got to come in and just make sense of this roster because they kind of have a wealth in some positions, and then they're dirt poor at other positions, and it'll be a savvy GM to come in and actually make the most out of a team like this, especially playing in a division like the Brawlers.
Yeah, and there's so many user quarterbacks that are coming in the next year or two that it makes it rough. You don't know what you want to do. I mean, there's, like you said, they've got three great quarterbacks that could be potentially around for 5 to 8 more seasons. So
yeah, especially I mean, this one who's Nelson Hunter, he's 6'5", 231. He's an 81 overall, so he's got 2 more years you can play with him. He only has a 91 throw power though.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, and a 79 deep accuracy. So none of them are perfect, but it is an interesting team, and you got a lot that you could kind of mess around with depending on what type of team are you trying to make them a run first team or a throw heavy team. You may pick a different quarterback based on what style of play you're trying to run.
Yep. I think that's all we got to say about them. They're a good solid pick for somebody to come in and take over.
Yeah. I'd say this next team, the last team in the AFC East, might be the one I'm the most afraid of seeing twice a year.
Yeah.
They beat us once. I thought they were going to beat us both times. Let's take a look at the last team in the Apex East. The Virginia Beach Bombers.
So, this is a legacy team from an old family league. This was one of the teams I told you that you Could not mess up. I think the logo delivered. The uniform's awesome. I love everything about this team.
And they're good.
It took everything in me to not take them over and run this team as my own. Again, this is my family. Shout out to my dad. This is my dad's team. He's not in our league, but this is a legacy team, and you did us proud. I love this team.
And Stanley Jenkins, man, all 5'11" of him. This guy is. I mean, we had a lot of talks about dev traits. Stanley Jenkins would have been the next one on the board. I mean, he had.
But don't they? Is this where Wiley's at running back?
Yeah. So actually,
I love their running back.
Yeah, they do have a great running back too. Jonathan Wiley is, a guy that just kind of took the league by storm. Plays, a real powerful kind of downhill running style. But when you have, it's almost like a Lamar Derrick Henry sort of vibe. He's not as big as Derrick Henry. And obviously, Jenkins is, not quite Lamar, but man, their 1-2 punch, those guys were so tough to play.
Yeah, he plays like Lamar, but he's, Kyler Murray's.
Yeah. But between the two of them, real tough to play. I mean, constantly making plays. Just Stanley Jenkins may have had some of the most insane plays to keep drives alive against the Brawlers, where I was just, are you kidding me? Like, how does this guy do this? But it wasn't a Superman play. It was just like a really realistic, good, savvy, going through his progressions, finds a little wiggle room, gets it upfield, shakes a guy out of his shoes and gets the first down. Just like those really fun first downs. And,
you saw he has a scrambler archetype. So.
Yeah, he does, and he uses every step of it, it's also a lot of fun to see quarterbacks play like that. And I think that's a testament to our sliders. You really feel the different play styles. Like Andrew Frost with the Brawlers is very much kind of a do-it-all. He's a big guy, but he's fast enough to run some stuff, to run some option stuff, but he's not Stanley Jenkins fast. He's not, a legit scrambler quarterback. Frost is more of an improviser. Jenkins is more of a legit scrambler. You can see in the quarterbacks who are pocket quarterback, you see and feel that they throw the ball away because they don't want to take the hit, or they can't find anything open. And it just makes the games that much more fun to watch,
Yeah, I know you and Baker worked on the sliders really a lot, and it's, I can't thank you guys enough. I've been waist deep in the college season getting it finished, so I had to rely on you guys, and you didn't disappoint. It's the year 0 sliders look really good.
Yeah, the games are all great, and the Bombers are going to be
But whoever takes over the Bombers, if you screw them up, I'm going to fire them.
I was going to say, yeah, man, like the Bombers, look out. Do not screw up the Bombers, because they'd be hard to screw up. First of all, you'd have to really make some mistakes.
But again, quarterback room, they're another team. They could get a user quarterback here, and that could be starting in 2 to 3 seasons. So
which would be perfect time for Jenkins, because he's 96 now. He's going to start to degrade over the next couple of years. You can see
right off the bat, you could cut A. Taylor and not get a penalty. So
right. So there's a lot you could do with this Bombers roster. But man, they're good, and they're a lot of fun to watch. And that's as a guy who plays them twice a year. I'd be thrilled if somebody picked the Bombers, because it would be make it that much more fun, because I already feel like after the year 0 that this is our biggest rivalry with the Brawlers. But we'll see what happens if a user comes in to be the GM. All right, we got 4 teams left in the Apex Football Conference, and we are going to swing it around out west. The Kansas City Mob and Carlos Green. Woof.
Yeah, he was not the MVP, was he?
He should have been, but somehow in the AFC, it was him and Andrew Frost, and that was actually a phenomenal playoff game, Mob versus Brawlers. You saw why those were the 2 best quarterbacks in the AFC.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carlos Green was the odds-on MVP favorite all season, and then somebody we'll talk about later ended up snatching it away from him. But yeah, Carlos Green, the Kansas City Mob, they're a tough team. They underperformed as well. They went 10-7. They racked up a lot of wins early. Then they had a couple injuries towards the middle end of the season where they just took several losses in a row. They were like the number 2 seed and then fell all the way, I think, to like the 5th or 6th seed. But really good team. But it's gonna be interesting to see what happens when Carlos Green starts to regress. I mean, you see some other great talent here, but you also see that age factor. A 32-year-old tight end that's 93 overall. 31-year-old Damon Arnold had 20 plus receiving touchdowns in the season, but he's also 31 years old now. He's kind of like a little, sort of Tyreek Hill. Well, not anymore. I mean, he's got 85 speed, so he's definitely not Tyreek Hill. But the team is stacked. They're a really good team, but I do think they're going to have some issues with the salary cap and some real tough decisions to make with players on the roster.
Yeah, and this is, as much as you like Buffalo, I'm a Kansas City fan, lifelong. So shut up about the bandwagon stuff. Not you, anyone listening. But yeah, so I mean, unfortunately, Kansas City, like Chicago and New York, has a lot of ties with the mob. So that's why we went with the mob. I like the logo. Like the uniforms turned out really well.
Yeah, different color palette than we would normally see or use, but we ended up liking it. It's a kind of some grays, some sort of ivory kind of cream, and then just a touch of that sort of maroon or burgundy in there. But trying a little bit of a throwback kind of retro, when the mob was prominent in Kansas City, it was like in the 70s, and those kind of felt like the right colors of that era to kind of, bespoke a little bit of Kansas City mob history there. But great team.
Yeah, great team. I was about to say, I remember seeing Northrop's name a lot in the stats.
Yep, Northrop was in there a lot.
He's going to be a re-signing.
Yeah, I was going to say he's definitely going to be re-signed. Carlos Green, it was actually, earlier in the sim when I was simming those 20 years, was MVP like twice and was almost MVP again. So you're talking about a almost 3-time MVP. At 30 years old, and as we know, look, he's a 70 overall speed. He's not gonna break away from you, but man, he got high awareness, high morale, high throwing capabilities. So I would not sleep on Carlos Green at 30 years old, or even at 31 or 32. I think he'll be a very, very more than serviceable quarterback for them for at least a couple seasons, and then might be the perfect time to draft a quarterback, maybe now in this draft or next year's draft, and start to groom a guy.
I'll say this is another team that the quarterback and the running back room, if I remember correctly, had some spots. We have quite a few running backs in the college league. Yeah,
they're back with Swain, but under that, you really want to stick with Hitchens, kind of a smaller guy. What they could really use is a complement, some sort of power complement, because they do kind of need that.
And there are a couple. And
and especially in the draft.
Don't they have a later? I mean, they're
like 20 something.
There's the Heisman Trophy winning. Listen, owners that haven't watched the college league, because we're in year 2. There is a Heisman winning bruising running back in Alvin Thompson. So be on the lookout for that. I'm very interested to see where Alvin Thompson goes in the draft.
Yeah, well, he's also, I'm pretty sure he's valued by the computer mock drafts pretty high too. He's Alvin Thompson. The CPU knows that guy won a Heisman. I mean,
he's a very good bruising. Go back and watch some of the college games. He earned his Heisman trophy. So,
and we'll see who gets the Heisman this year. All right, we've got 3 teams left. So let's take a look at our next AFC West team, who has another superstar quarterback. The LA Reign, the Los Angeles Reign, and we're not talking about water, we're talking about an empire. Reign.
Yeah, and this is one of those logos we were like, we have to have a California team. Most likely going to be LA. And everybody was like, well, what are we going to do? We don't want to have the cliche. So, it came to mind. California from the start was basically like you said. It's an empire.
Yeah.
Everything from when it was founded to now, like it or love it, like it or hate it, It is what it is. But I do love the logo. I like that it's not just a boring crown. It was a fun team to design. I like the uniforms.
And their field's a lot of fun too. This is
their
one
field's
that
pretty dang cool.
Yeah,
When you see their field,
owners
it's
would
pretty
like this
cool.
field. And
Yeah.
George Burrell was one of those guys that I had to stand on the table for. And you know, I know not everybody was necessarily on board with Burrell being a superstar, but he is just one of those guys that you could never bring down. He ran for over 500 yards in the regular season. He kept his team constantly within you know, a stone's throw. I believe they were the Brawlers' opponent in the AFC Apex Championship game. So, you know, George Burrell is just he's a freak quarterback, and it was so much fun watching him play. And he's a guy that somebody can hitch their wagon to, because this is a really strong LA team. Let's actually check what their draft pick is. Yeah, 30th. So yeah,
they're in the back.
But they did not under or overperform. This is how good the team is. They are probably going to be in that perennial, as long as either the CPU keeps running them right or somebody comes in and runs this team right. They're going to be in it for a while. I mean, they've got a good mix of talent. You can see they've got guys with high overalls in the low 20s. You got 22-year-old 85 overall cornerback, a 23-year-old 87 overall receiver, 26 87, 27 88, 25 89. I mean, and that's your quarterback's 27 88. So a lot of good talent here. I believe even their backup quarterback is 82. So you maybe come in and he has no trade penalty. So somebody looking to come in and get some either good players or draft capital. We said we cannot trade first round picks, but I believe we said other than that, you know, you can trade picks from the first draft. A 27-year-old 82 overall quarterback with a 91 speed is your backup. Like, that guy could be starting for a lot of teams, and it'd be interesting to see if the CPU stays on this team. They may hold on to him. But a owner may come in, a GM may come in and say, I'm going to go get that McCoy kid from the LA Reign. He may be only 5'11", but he looks pretty good. He doesn't cost much.
Yeah, the only two knocks are 5'11" and 90 throw power. But yeah, he's
got speed, man. He's got speed for days. He's even faster than the starter.
And he's cheap.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's got what does he have? I'm curious to see now. Going to his stats and contract here. He's got 1 year left, so this last year would be the perfect time to trade him if you're coming in as the Reign GM, or maybe a great time to acquire him and give him a 1 year prove it deal if you're coming in running another team. So
you don't want a franchise tag.
Definitely not.
We're looking at franchise tags earlier.
They're crazy because you're in the year 2041 now. So the money for a franchise tag on a lot of players,
$67 million for a quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worth it. You know, so some teams are going to have to make some real decisions when you look at like somebody like the Brawlers, right? Only 2 years left with Andrew Frost. What are you going to do with that? You know, are you going to give up half your team to be able to keep him? I don't know. Well, it's a decision I have not yet made. But I'm excited to dive in. All right, let's take two more teams left here in the AFC West. Let's take a look at the Sacramento Peaks with one of the 10 X Factor players, safety, James Brown.
Yeah, he's a badass. He's going to be awesome.
He's a badass.
He's only 29, so you know he could have 1 year, he could have 4 years. I like
at safety. I'd like to think he has a few more, but yeah, man, this guy balled out.
Yeah,
he was dangerous.
He's a little short for safety, but you know he played great. He's
got that run hit too. He got that hitting power.
Yeah, if they get if you're an X Factor in our league, you had a hell of a year the year before.
Yeah.
So he had a great year. To go back to the Peaks, you know, obviously, you know, Northern California, you got the mountains and the snow. So we wanted to have a team like that, but we just didn't want to have the boring. So, you know, it's pretty cool. You came up with like the zombie skeleton type. I loved it the minute it came.
You could tell what I was watching that week when I was designing this. I was into a little bit. I think it was probably around October. It was some Halloween.
I love the uniform. I love the logo. They have a cool field too.
Good team
I like
overall.
the Peaks. Their team's good.
Young quarterback.
They're a rebuild.
Yep. Because what's their draft pick? 4. So
I was gonna say they're in the top 5.
Yeah, if you get the Peaks, you're coming in with the ability to kind of pick your poison as far as how do you want to really start your franchise with a top 5 draft pick, and you already got an elite defender.
X factor, basically playing quarterback and on defense.
Right. So some real talent here, but you see a lot of 30s and high mid 30s with some.
Yeah, they're a rebuild. Yeah.
But hey, some owners and GMs may want that. They may be looking for it. Let me get in and do a rebuild here. All right, so we've got one team left in the AFC West, and let's take a look at those guys. The Salt Lake Sting.
Salt Lake Sting. Yep, that's believe it or not, Salt Lake City is a they're known for bees. Who knew?
I didn't until we were researching all of this.
Exactly. All these teams were researched, guys. So everything that is on these teams has significance. But yes, they are known for bees, and I was like, perfect. I love having bees in a league, a hornet of some sort or whatever. So we didn't want to just be the bees, the hornets, or whatever. So we went with Sting. I liked it. Stuck with it. I love the uniform.
Stadium may be called like the Hornet's Nest or something like that. I can't remember
they
exactly.
have a cool, so much cool potential with this team. And and they're a rebuild also, but they have a pretty good team too. Solid contract, solid roster.
You're talking about picking 14, so picking in the middle, but the team
6'6" quarterback.
Yeah, Kyle Bayless is a big dude. He's not super fast, but he's got a 93 throw power. You'd like a little more out of a 6'6" guy, but he played well. He had a good season. The backup is kind of a very similar makeup, similar age. They do have, I was gonna say, I definitely remember they had a good running back. They had some okay receivers, especially because they were young in mid 80s.
Again, another team that you can come in, cut some of these losses with the to save some salary cap space, and then get you one of the quarterbacks coming up in the draft. So.
Absolutely, and these guys definitely have a couple places that you could trim the roster and not burn yourself. So you got some guys, 30 overall safety who you could save $5.6 million right away and getting rid of, right? So there's definitely some room to maneuver, with these guys. But they're a fun team, a cool uniform, and can you believe it? We got through half of our 32 teams already.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So we're gonna take a quick refresher break, and we'll be right back with the NFC. And welcome back. We told you we'd take a little break. I had to change into my Brawlers team hoodie to make sure we could do the rest of the show and team reveals, and everyone would know where I stand.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Let's knock this Nexus.
That's right.
Conference at.
That's right. So we told you earlier that the AFC is the Apex Football Conference, which means the NFC is the Nexus Football Conference, and we're going to jump right into it. You guys have been getting the idea of the flow here, and let's start with the NFC North and this first team. The Anchorage Ice Pack. This is a pretty rad team.
Yeah, when you see their uniforms in the game, like a lot of our stuff we looked at, we ended up going with their ice white package, which is their away uniform. But
Yeah, so you're looking at the gray right
yeah,
now on Travis Connell. Again, one of only 10 X Factor players in the entire league. He led the league in receiving in the 0 year. He's an elite receiver, but yeah, I think everyone agreed that while the grays are cool, the Ice Pack may rock a lot at home with those Arctic white because
yeah,
it
and
looks
this is
fresh,
one of my favorite logos. I love the logo.
fierce.
Don't remember what their field looks like. I know I played them in when we were looking at them doing the sliders and stuff. I played them in a game, but I'm pretty sure we were home. So
Yeah, I think it's got a little bit. It's either white or blue. I don't think it's.
I think it's
standard
like
green.
a hint of the tongue like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, they're great logo, great uniforms,
and a great team. I mean,
great team. They're a
Marcus
good, solid team.
McLeod out of Syracuse, 28 years old, 91 overall. Not a burner, but he's a good quarterback, and he was right up there in the MVP conversation. Let's take a look at his stats here. Throw power, 97 throw power. Again, 6'4", 233. He's a franchise QB, 93 medium accuracy, 91 deep accuracy, 89 throw under pressure, 85 awareness. May not be fast, but he's got a lot of the other stuff that you want.
Yeah, he's definitely a pocket passer. He's a great guy. Like I said, we blitzed a lot the week that we played him mainly to test out the blitzing sliders, but mainly to rattle this guy because he is a pocket passer. You see it right there. His archetype is a strong arm.
And then a field general after that. Yeah, so know that
he rockets it out there.
And he does. I mean, that's the one thing watching this guy play. He got a star dev. He earned it. I mean, this guy was decisive, did not, waste time. He found his reads. He found his progressions. He fires the ball through. Really good quarterback. Definitely, allows you to take the team immediately day one and kind of make up for whatever other deficiencies they might have. But they have two good young running backs. They've got, I'm pretty sure, I was going to say another good receiver, Jennings, who's an 85. And then, some high 70s receivers. So
if I remember right, are they the ones with the really good tight end room?
They have a really good tight end in Greg Flanagan. They have a young tight end that could develop. He's a little low right now with a 72 overall, but yeah, they do have a very good tight end. Flanagan out of Stanford was a key connection for McLeod, especially being that kind of gunslinger field general quarterback. He was looking to the tight end a lot, and the way their offense ran through the verticals, up the seams and up the hashes, kind of inside out. So they did a lot of stuff inside over the middle, and Flanagan was a big recipient of that.
And for guys watching and getting interested in making a college player for the next year 3 for the college season, we do not have any tight ends. So
we have one submitted, the Michigan tight end.
You're right. We don't have any active. Let me rephrase it. We don't have any active tight ends right now. We have one that's been submitted right now. So,
but a great position to submit on, because in a league like this, you want receiving targets, and being a big elite tight end coming out of college, this league is kind of deficient when it comes to elite tight ends. There's not a ton of great tight ends. I'm pretty sure we had no X Factor tight ends, and I don't think we had any superstar.
We didn't, and when I tried, because that's one of my favorite positions, and we tried I tried going through the stats to find one. The most reception yards by a tight end was like the 37th guy on the list of receiving yards. So
yeah, it was just not.
Tight ends
I don't even know if there was a 1,000-yard receiving tight end. I don't think there was.
No, and I mean that's what I'm saying. He was at like 400 or 500 yards receiving. There were two of them right there beside each other, and they both were pretty far down the line.
So the Ice Pack made it pretty far. If you were to take over the Ice Pack, you would have the 28th pick. So they definitely are a team that
they made it to the playoffs.
Yeah, they made it deep into a playoff run. So if you're looking for a team to start with that has a great nucleus, especially Travis Connell, just an elite receiver, a 6'5", 228 receiver that's got 91 speed and 90 awareness, and still only 27 years old. He's probably going to be playing pretty well for a while.
Yeah, I mean their defense is stout. I mean they're a good team. They look great. They got a good solid setup for a guy to come in and take over them, and they're in Anchorage, so you'll get some damn snow games. That'll be awesome. So,
yeah, hoping so.
yeah, yeah.
You never know with Madden. You never know with Madden.
I don't know how the snow works in this game. In the college game, we have a lot of snow games.
Yeah. Year one, we may be a little light on snow. Madden is a little tricky like that, but either way, they're playing up in some crummy cold weather. You'll definitely see the frozen breath, and you'll see the puffer jackets busting out there. So, all right, that's enough about the Anchorage Ice Pack. Let's move on to our next team in the Nexus North. They are the Chicago Football Department. CFD.
Yeah, this is a very unique team.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll say, with one of their best players as their 37-year-old punter.
Yeah.
They did not
their
do
kickers
so
up
great.
there too.
Top 10 pick. They're picking 9th overall. CFD is a team that is a little bit of the tip of the cap to our player rep, Tony Fry.
Yep.
In his day job. You can see their uniforms here. They've got sort of a fireman sort of red. They also have a black version, and they got a nice crisp
we
white
played them
as well.
almost. Yeah, they look good. Their field is red.
Yep. I think they play at the Firehouse.
Yeah. It was a cool design. This was all pretty much came up like you said. Fry pretty much made the same. I'm surprised he didn't take them over, but I guess if you do this for a living all day long, you're probably tired of it. So.
He is legit. He is legit a fireman. He's actually out there saving lives, unlike some of the rest of us. So figured, Chicago, kind of, a lot of things you could put in Chicago, but if you also think one thing that Chicago is definitely known for, it's besides their love of football, it's their great history of firefighters. There was the Great Chicago Fire. So like we said before, we're trying to find things that somehow tie into the ilk or personality of the city, and firefighters just felt like a good fit for Chicago.
That being said, they kind of suck. So
they do suck.
This was not a fun game. I played these guys also in my slider quest, and it was not a fun game because we won pretty bad. So
yeah, they've got some good receivers.
Everything worked.
And a decent tight end, but overall the team is kind of aging out. They've got some issues with the offensive line, like the whole left side of their offensive line is 30 or over. Their right tackle's 30. I think their only player on their line that's under 30 is their right guard, and he's 28 years old. So they've got a lot of issues to work on with the offensive line. They do have a little bit of talent on the defensive line and at linebacker. But again, age, Kevin Cutler, their starting middle linebacker, is 33 years old, 88 overall. The guy behind him, 26 years old, 69 overall.
69
so,
overall.
Yeah, just a big drop off with some of these young guys, and they just have not done a good enough job getting their young guys into the rotation. I did remember they had some pretty decent corners. 26 and 25-year-old, the 87, 85 overall, a 25-year-old is 79 overall. So their starting and slot corner is a good situation, but you can see free safety, not a good situation. Strong safety, young guy, maybe he'll get better. He's 79 overall right now, 23, so you got to give him a little time, but he's 5'9" at strong safety. Yeah. So, a lot of stuff to work out there. Like you said, old kicker Danny Goodman, old punter Jason Winters, two of the oldest active players in the league. So while they're good now, the kicking game might be the only thing that was really good about the Chicago.
They punted a lot, so it was
they did punt a hell of a lot. So we'll move past them because there's not a ton more to talk about with CFD, but there is a lot to talk about with this next team. The St. Louis Rhinos. Big time talent on this team, starting with their quarterback, George Griffith, but they've got a great outside linebacker, Clyde Fletcher, also near the top of the league in receiving yards. Good tight end, 90 overall, 26 years old. The Rhinos are stacked. They have a good team.
Yeah, this is another legacy team, so cool to see the the logo got tweaked a little bit, but I like it. So, again,
A fighting rhino, kind of a boxer.
We've never had the hands in the logo before. It's usually just the head, but I love it. It looks good. It's the family members saw it and they approved. They gave it their blessing. So anyway, looks good. Love the uniforms. The field looks great. They have I think they have another uniform also that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think they've got 3 as well. The Rhinos are, they're in St. Louis, but you can definitely feel a real world sort of similarity to the Detroit Lions. There's definitely similar kind of play style, aggressive. They've got talent kind of everywhere but running back, ironically. Yeah. So that's something that, you'd say they could get in the draft, but they're also picking 23rd.
I think they made the playoffs.
Yeah, they made the playoffs, but they were bounced early. So kind of in a situation where they've got really good skill players. Between the wide receiver room is stacked. They just have a cornucopia of talent at the wide receiver position. Even when Fletcher, retires or they trade him off, they have some good receiver talent at, the mid-20s age range. So just a strong nucleus. Again, great tight end, and their backup tight end is really good too. I remember, they have a pretty quality offensive line. Some of them a little older. Certainly could flip one of the tackles into a guard for that weak right guard spot. But just well-built team. They throw the ball well and they stop the run well.
Yeah, obviously I've said the last 2 teams. This is the division we played. So we played them as well in the slider season, and they thumped us. They're great defense. They shut down everything we did. They were passing left and right, like you said. They didn't even have to run, and they
really don't.
They were passing all over the place. So, if an owner comes in and takes this team over, they're going to get a good, solid defensive. Someone that's defensive-minded can take this team over and then build the offense and learn, or vice versa. Someone can come in that's offensive-minded and help build the offense while they don't have to worry about the defense for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean,
this might be a good choice for someone to come in and be the owner for.
Yeah, they stayed in and won a lot of games because of their offense, and their defense was able to do enough. But like Beck said, no real run game to speak of, and they still made it, into the playoffs. I think they won their division. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I think they did actually. Except, oh no, maybe Anchorage did. Either way, they made the playoffs. They went, they went far enough to make some noise. But it could be a really interesting team for somebody to take over. Another interesting team for somebody to take over, and our last team in the Nexus North is the Vancouver Mammoth.
I love this team.
They are a fun team, man. And their quarterback, while he may be old as dirt, he balled out last year. Old
is this
Chucky
the guy?
Schaefer.
Yep, 37 years old.
Chucky Schaefer, man.
Yeah. And don't knock the brown uniforms. They look good on the field, man. This is a good looking team. I love the logo. Kind of like a Stanford Cardinal type vibe with the Vancouver Mammoth. But they're a good, solid team. Obviously, with Schaefer being, going into his 17th year, he's at 79 overall. You're gonna have
he's an improviser. So
he's a 79 overall improviser. So
he's kind of like Doug Flutie out there, like he's no
number
longer
0. So
that's right. There's only going to be one number 0 after
come
Chuck
in and
Schaefer
get rid of
retires.
Schaefer.
That's right.
The backup's a 77. Come get you Smokey Smith. Run the table with the Mammoth.
While Schaefer is not looking to mentor anyone, the rest of this team is pretty good. The running back room, could use a little help, but you got several guys that are serviceable, especially this guy, Woodward.
They're good.
94 speed, 25 years old, 79 overall. And then you got like a nice power back complement. But then he's got, some decent wide receiving talent. The tight end's getting a little old, but I'm pretty sure the offensive line, is mostly under 30 and all, 25, 90 overall. So the offensive line talent is pretty good. So you could maybe even get away with Schaefer for one more year if you drafted somebody. And the defense does enough. You got a guy like Taylor Reyes, who's a 92 overall defensive end. You've got an 89 overall 25-year-old defensive tackle who's 320 pounds. So they've got some talent. The middle linebacker getting a little old. They got a good backup. They have a good secondary at 4 corners, 80 or better. 87 free safety, 82 strong safety, an old kicker again. They are picking 16th overall, so really kind of square in the middle.
I feel like they're somewhere in the middle, but they're dead in the middle, yeah.
But hey, that's an interesting spot to be if somebody wants to come in and kind of take a look at the landscape and still have some pick that's probably pretty good. But it is kind of no man's land when you're picking their smack dab. I don't remember
where they're at salary cap wise, but that's something you can look up on the Neon Sports.
That's right. Which I know we said earlier in the show that we were going to drop it right then. We're going to wait till the end of this show, then we'll drop the link, because otherwise you'd know all the teams we're talking about. We want you focused right here with us as we talk about these teams. So I guess we can switch to the Nexus South, which has some very interesting teams, one of which you're more familiar with than some of the others. But let's go with one that was kind of a little bit of a surprise to everybody, but still ended up being pretty fun. The Austin Strangers.
Yeah, it's again, this is probably the third team. I didn't see them until I saw them. But it's cool. They're in Texas. You went with the cowboy theme, but it's not the same old cowboy that you're used to.
Yeah,
it's like a Cowboys versus aliens kind of
thing. Yeah, extraterrestrial. And I didn't know that Austin actually had a history of, there's like the sayings like keep Austin weird and stuff, but they had also had at some point in time a higher than average number of extraterrestrial sightings and reportings. And for a little while, Austin, I think it was like the 60s or 70s, became a little bit of a UFO phenomenon hub epicenter. So I thought that was a fun little tie-in.
The logo looks really good on the helmet.
Yeah.
The uniforms look really they look really good.
They're like the shoulders got like little flying saucer sort of, diamonds going on.
It's a cool team.
They're a cool team, and they got some talent. Andrew Rushing, really interesting. He did not have a great year. He had like the Jameis Winston like 30-30 year where the guy threw as many interceptions as touchdowns. But overall, the team, I feel like, underperformed because they're not bad, but they got the second pick in the draft. So if you want
they need defense,
if you want a team that wears black and has kind of a cool vibe going, but definitely needs some rebuild help with the second pick overall, you could be going with the Strangers, and they definitely could use the help. You can see a lot of 30s kind of going on just through the top of their roster here. Rushing
definitely needs like some defensive tackle. I mean, he's a 93. I'm sure he's got some kind of boost there, so I'm sure he's probably like a 79 to an 80. But get you some. There's a user defensive tackle in the draft. So
yeah. Let's see. Yeah,
go get you Robert Crone from Navy.
Defensive ends are getting older. Defensive tackles are both old, and then immediately drop off the cliff. You go from 2 30-year-olds that are, 88 and 93 down to a 24 and 67. So, bit of a big drop off there. Defense.
They could definitely go, defensive tackle or defensive end, both of which are in the draft. So
yep.
User wise,
they've got some secondary. So if you short up the line, they might suddenly be able to rebound another 37-year-old kicker. But having the number 2 pick and having some cool uniforms, and I'm pretty sure they got a little bit of salary cap room to work with as well. So the Austin Strangers could be your team, not your team back, but somebody else's team, because your team we might as well talk about right now. We're going to talk about the Louisville Wildcats. Tell us about the Wildcats.
Yeah, this is another, I think this might be the fourth legacy team from the old Family League. And we usually just do a cheesy paw for the logo or something. I saw this logo and I fell in love with it. I love the uniforms. They have their away uniform is the yellow instead.
Yeah,
of
which I think is sick. I know some people may not love them. I think they.
I love the away uniform better than the home uniform actually.
Yeah.
So.
And the little claw marks around the neck,
Yeah,
are super cool.
It's a great team. Obviously, we went with Louisville. It was going to be a toss up between Atlanta or Louisville, but we went there. Once we go full mod, we might move them somewhere else, but we'll definitely stay in the South. So.
I was going to say,
they're
a great
my norm where I try to stay in the North. I was like, well, I'll go down South this time. So.
But man, talk about luck too for you.
Yeah, Justin Herrera, the rookie of the year.
People are gonna talk what they talk. We were very lucky. The teams that we wanted to be ended up with good quarterbacks. This guy was literally rookie of the year. He started at like a 79 overall, I think. Tell us a little bit about what you saw from the Wildcats this season.
It was I got in the file kind of late. Wrapping up college stuff and the holidays and everything. So by the time I got in, they were about halfway through. But I took them over the last half of the season and tried to find a good scheme for them and stuff. So I was bouncing back and forth. Buckley at halfback's a good, solid choice. He's getting older. They do have a younger option down there. He's in the 80s overall or high 70s without the bump.
Right. That's Andrew Wolf. Yeah.
Yeah, but Buckley's definitely, he's got another year or two in him, so he'll definitely mentor. We could possibly go. We have a good draft pick, a top 10 draft pick actually, because we kind of sucked. Which is why
that was like, I don't know. I feel like that is not going to be the case again, especially with Herrera, because the way he played. Like, so was it more that he came on the second half of the season, or was he just playing consistent the whole way through?
He looked pretty consistent. The rest of the team. So when I took him over, we were there like the last 7 to 8 games. And definitely the team, shored up, but I think the damage was done, basically, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the defense, we need help on defense.
So I thought you guys won several games in the back half of the season.
We did. I knocked out a couple good wins. But I was trying to not, even though it was year 0 and we were testing for sliders, I was still trying to not restart the game. You know how when you test for playbooks and stuff, you'll restart it. I was still trying to not restart it, because that's one thing in our league is, once the season starts, if you have more than one recording of your game, it's null and voided, and that's a mark.
Yeah, you're basically going to take the L on that.
Yeah, we'll do a forced win the next week, and a forced loss the next week, and no questions asked. We're not going to have multiple. But anyway, so in the preseason, you can do that, and find your playbooks and all that good stuff. So that's what I was trying to do. And the main thing is the defense. I couldn't get a good defense to get.
So it's interesting. So was it scheme that you just couldn't find? 'Cause, there's some decent overalls on the defense.
You know how they complement each other in Madden? Like, I would find a really good offense that would get them rolling, and then the defense would just get blown out, and then vice versa. Plus, we ran up against the Ice Pack, the Rhinos.
Yeah, you guys felt like you hit Murderer's Row of really.
Yeah,
good
we
teams.
hit that stretch of that division late in the season. So I would have like a good game where we would look good, and then I'd hit a hard, the Ice Pack, and they beat us. So
yeah, the Ice Pack is a scary team, man. Like,
and then
that's a good.
We would
team.
play whoever that was that we stomped in that division, and then we ran into the Rhinos, and the Rhinos just passed all over.
Oh yeah, so, CFD. You probably stomped the football department.
So like scheme wise, I would try to the previous week we were trying to stop the run, so that scheme looked good. So the next week we'd play the Rhinos, and they passed all over us. So it'll be nice to actually get in the file and take over a team that's. And again, this is the team that I'm kind of running with right now. But if an owner wants to come in and take them over, I will, gladly step back and
again, one of 10 X Factor players, a quarterback entering only the second year on his deal. Wildcats, they've got a lot to like, and also maybe in a weakened division. I wouldn't say like weak overall. I feel
like this division is pretty weak. I did only get to play like 2 of them. I played Mexico City, which sorry, I probably should have said that.
Well, they're about to see him in a second, anyways.
Yeah, I played 1 or 2 of the division teams. So
Well,
I
what
didn't
the
get to
hey?
play the whole
Do we
division.
want to flip over to that team and we'll talk about those guys a little bit?
Yeah, that's enough with Louisville. I mean, they're
Yeah.
they're a good team to run. You get a top 10 draft pick. I think they're like 8.
Yeah, I think let's look quick. You're picking 10th. You're picking
Yeah, there you go.
10th.
So it's a top 10 draft pick, a good solid team. They need some defensive work. Actually, they don't even really need defensive work. They just need scheme and playbook work.
Maybe a little defensive line help, but there's some
We're
pretty
like
good players.
85 or 86 overall. I mean,
Yeah.
they're a good team, good solid team. So
Technically, they have a better overall than the Brawlers. So,
yeah, I mean, they were in upper echelon of the team of the league. So
yeah, could easily be making a pick at 10 this year and be picking in the high 20s next season.
Again, they're the team that I'm running with just because it is a legacy team. But if an owner wants to come in and take them over,
Get an X Factor quarterback, baby.
absolutely, X Factor quarterback, a great team, and a top 10 draft pick. So
Yeah, that's a pretty enticing offer. Somebody's going to take you up on that. Be careful. And if he does keep the team, then sounds like he's picking defense. But in the meantime, let's look at the team that that Back just teased, Mexico City. The Mexico City Firebirds. This is a team, maybe the best team in this division record-wise.
I believe so. Yeah, they're good. I
Quarterback
love
Truman was pretty good too.
Yeah, I was trying to say Lobo, but I meant to say the left outside linebacker. It's hard to find good outside linebackers.
Yeah,
and this team has both left and right outside linebackers that are good. So
the quarterback's getting a little old, but he was right up there as far as the Nexus Football Conference MVP voting. So he was in the top 5 for MVP voting, and he's just a solid quarterback. He's got a really nice mix of improviser, field general, and strong arm. So you can see he got a strong throw power, high accuracies, throwing on the run, under pressure, and he's an 81 speed. Ideal sense of pressure, conservative decision maker, balanced QB style, which means he will take off and run sometimes. He's not always just throwing it away. So Truman is it was the Truman Show in Mexico City, and like you said, they have some really good outside linebackers like Seth King and Manny Sanchez. So they've got a really quality team, and I think as far as draft picks, 29th. So they made it deep. They
won the division. Yeah.
So Mexico City.
This is another. It's a cool logo, cool uniform. You try not to be too cliche. I mean, we knew there's a couple teams in the league that are not of this. I don't know, but you'll see. But Mexico City, we wanted to have Mexico City for the international type presence.
And they've got an alt too that's got like a cool like fire orange fuego.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
they're alternate. When I played them, I used that alternate in the footage, and it's cool.
Yeah.
But you try to not. You want to show them respect, but you want to try to not be too cliche. So the green, white, and red. You got to kind of stick with that.
Yeah, there's no Dublin Shamrocks here. We aren't going that obvious, but like this is a logical tip of the cap, and trying to embrace their colors, but also give them like a cool, fierce sort of fighting personality, give them something with a little bit of edge, and the team plays like that too. The team plays with a pretty nasty edge.
One division.
Can you say that again? You were cutting out for a sec.
I said, they won the division, so they're a good team. I mean, absolutely.
Quality team. All right, let's check out the last team in the Nexus South, a team that we definitely had a little fun when we were coming up with these guys. Melbourne Marauders.
Yeah, I was trying to not give it away too much with the whole international thing, but that's the Marauders. You see the little fierce koala bear, which is kind of an oxymoron, but like you said, we had fun with it. We wanted to have a couple international teams, and no one's ever done Australia that I know of, so it was cool. They have a great uniform. The helmets actually look pretty cool because they have the the pulled forward logo with the ears like in the front. So it's kind
Yeah,
of like,
we did a couple of those with some of the helmets. Some of them have standard logo on the side, and then some of the helmets have if like it's an animal with ears or something, they're kind of a little more pulled forward, and you kind of
yeah.
almost see the ears where the ears would be. Something we were trying out. We'll see if we keep it for next year's uniforms. But overall, Melbourne, it's a fun team. It's a fun, we kind of had a little nod to rugby with the ball that the koala's holding has got kind of the rugby stripe on it, even though
Yeah.
they're playing football. We did the 24 for the year that we came up with it and kind of started all this nonsense. And at the same time, they're also a pretty good team as far as the talent they have. I feel
they're
like
pretty
they
solid.
underperformed too, though. Didn't they end up with
Yeah, they were
11th.
second or third in our division. So I mean, they might have been
11th
last in our
overall?
division.
So they're picking right after you guys, actually.
Yeah, so they were yeah.
Definitely
Yeah,
an underperformer. They
They
should have
very
been better.
much underperformed.
Old running back, so they may go. Actually, I'm pretty sure in the mock, Alvin Thompson is mocked by the
Correct.
game to
He is.
the Marauders. So as high as 11th overall, if you're paying attention for armchair GMs and scouts here,
Which
the
is
Marauders,
crazy to think that Alvin Thompson would fall that far back, but yeah,
They don't.
he's
They
not
just
a-
don't place as much of a premium on running backs, but you should, because if you get a good one, you're off and running.
yeah, and I'm a running back guy, so I'll take an average quarterback over. I'll take a great running back over an average quarterback. So,
Well, Marauders, look out, because the Wildcats pick right ahead of you, and they've got an X Factor quarterback, and they could use maybe a little injection at running back. So look out there. Might see Wildcats plunging and plundering the running back that they're mocked.
but yeah, I mean they've got, like I just said about the previous team, having great outside linebackers. They're young, but they're all right. So
They're okay.
that's always my to me that's my always a lot of teams, a lot of defenses weaknesses is their outside linebackers just can't, they're not there. They're either fully on coverage or they're fully on run stop, and it's just hard to find a good balanced outside linebacker.
Yeah, and these guys have a good secondary.
People that want to make a college prospect. So
Yeah, keep that in mind as well. But these guys have a good secondary, so they definitely underperformed. I don't think they had many injuries, because I would check the injury list every so often, and it looked like they just kind of couldn't get it all together. But Ryan Porter was one of those guys that actually had a superstar dev, and the game took it away from him.
correct.
And we decided, hey, like, we'll stick with what the game chose for him, which was the star dev, because he still played well, but at 94 overall, you would have liked him to be at least a superstar. But
Especially getting up in age. So
yeah, the team just did not play up to standard. But maybe they're looking to change that.
and they look good on the field too for anyone worrying about uniforms and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So,
they definitely do. All right, let's move to the east, and maybe a little, I guess, west of Australia, but far east of where we are right now.
as
Not
far
too
east
far.
as you can
Not
get.
well. I guess if you want to go the furthest east, we could do that. So if we want to start with the real far east, the Orient, so to speak, let's take a look at this team. The Tokyo Riot.
So I came up with the name, and you guys came up with the logo, and I wanted just a boring rising sun on the helmet. Maybe I'll have like a traditional throwback type helmet, but I love this logo. This is Fry's team, so this team's taken.
Yep.
So it was kind of a shock that Fry wanted to take over, this team instead of one of the other teams. But he
I
fell
think
in
as
love
soon
with
as
the
he
name.
realized there was like a ninja on top of the name, he was
Yeah,
just like,
that's which is I'm a huge samurai fan, so if he didn't take it, I was gonna take it. So, but yeah, I love the logo, love the colors, love the team. I mean, I'm a huge history nerd, and feudal Japan is my favorite. So, I'll geek out for a minute and let you talk. So,
they've got, talk about linebackers. They have got maybe the best linebacker in the game at middle linebacker, a young
Meltzer.
guy, Cody Meltzer. Yeah. 3 years into the league, he's an 88 field general, 88 run stopper, and an X factor. at middle linebacker. And again, only 10 of those X factors in the whole league. And this guy, he balled out. I believe he also was tied for interceptions, which was crazy that a middle linebacker had the tied, lead leaguing interceptions.
He did, yeah. He had 5 interceptions, 4 or 5, and he
Yeah.
had I can't remember if he was the 19.5 or the 16.5 sacks, but yeah, he had a great year. I mean, he was definitely one of my picks. I think I had him at superstar just because I wanted him to prove it a little more, but
The game had him at X Factor, and so I
Yeah.
was like, hey, if the game has him there,
maybe I
let's
did have him
give
at
him the
X
nod.
Factor. I just know I had him in there. I mean, he's a badass. He's gonna be
Yeah.
awesome.
He is a cornerstone for who knows what Fry will do with the rest of the Riot, because he's got the 5th overall draft pick. They did not play great all season.
Nope.
But at linebacker they did, and I think early in the season they had a different quarterback, and I'm pretty sure we told Fry it was okay to trade him away, so he traded his quarterback away to Canton Crush, actually, and Canton Crush did not do any better when they got a new quarterback. The Riot picked up maybe another game or two with Alex Jeffrey at quarterback, who does have a star dev rating. Wasn't quite Justin Herrera, but he had a pretty good rookie season.
It's feeling, again, I haven't really talked to Fry about what he wants to do, but it's feeling like he wants to get a like a young user quarterback or a young user running back. So I feel like he's floating around the idea of going, like you said, they have like the number 5 draft pick. So
yeah, could use he can't trade up with it, but could use a quarterback or a halfback right there at the top of the first round. Neither of those are great.
And he has a user. You can draft your own players in our league. So
that's true.
He has a user bad dude coming up in the draft.
He's Johnny Hobbs. That's right.
National championship winning Johnny Hobbs.
Texas A&M monster running back. But the thing is, I wonder if Fry's really going to do that, if he's really going to go running back, because honestly, I feel like there's so many other positions that the Riot need.
Yeah, I feel like if he's going user, he should go running or quarterback.
Quarterback, right?
I mean, because his quarterback's young, but he's only a 70-something overall.
Right.
Yeah, they definitely need a lot of help.
And he could trade away that young quarterback he's got now and get some draft capital or get some other quality players to be starters. Because, I mean, you look at this roster, and even the guys who are starters, they're old. I mean, you're talking about guys in their 30s, unless you're talking about Meltzer. God, I hope he's playing a 3-4 defense with two good middle linebackers there.
And he has a ton of cap space.
Yeah, he's got a ton of cap space. He's got a ton of secondary players. It seems like, offense definitely seems to be the way he should go with that number 5 pick overall. Personally, I couldn't stomach taking a non-user player that high, let alone somebody that's not a quarterback.
Yeah, and I've been in other leagues with Fry before, but I've never co-owned. He's never ran a team before, so this will be a nice freshman year, if you will, for Fry to run a team, and it's a great team. Again, I love the logo, I love the uniforms.
Yeah, they're a fun team, and it'll be fun to see what a human owner does with them, a human GM, right? What's Fry going to do with this team? He's got the 5th overall pick, so that'll be fun to find out.
Yep.
Let's go a little less far east, but still further than over here in America with this next team. So another foreign soil team here in the Nexus, should be East. The Nexus. Here in the Nexus East, we're going to see another foreign soil team. Let's check out these guys. It's the London Lions.
London Lions. Another classic team. I mean, you gotta, if you, I don't think the Apex League, the Apex Conference has any international teams, but the Nexus team does, and they have a handful of them. And you gotta have, if you have international teams, you've got to have London. And again, just like with Mexico City, we try to not be too cliche, but I mean, you got to have the royalty in there somewhere. You got to have the Lions. The logo, I love it. I mean, it's classic.
They even have two
Uniform
helmet
classic.
options. One that's like kind of like a silvered helmet. One that's like kind of a golden sort of
Yeah.
crown helmet. They're another one where they kind of have like more the ears kind of going on with their logo. But I think the uniforms look slick. The field is slick. They kind of scream royalty, and they've got a good team. They've got a good
Yeah, they're a really
nucleus
good
of
team.
players. Good. I think the only issue for the Lions is they're a little old as
Yep.
far as age of the roster. They've got a really good defensive end who's 30 years old. Their best receiver is 29 years old. They got another receiver who's 25 years old. Another receiver is 29 years old. 30 years old at tight end. QB at 27, that's fine. Actually, Brett Hahn, I'd say he's probably a top 10 quarterback in the league, but
It was
you
pretty
see,
good, yeah.
you see how rare it is to get a dev trait. So even being a top 10 quarterback, he's got a standard dev. And you got to wonder, with a strong arm, field general first kind of rating, strong arm, 97 throw power, only 75 speed. Then you start to see some of the other stuff: paranoid sense of pressure, conservative decision maker, pocket QB style. You can see why maybe he didn't get a dev trait from us. It was, he had good stats, but the intangibles maybe not quite there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good team to take over. It's a good balance. It's a safe team to take over.
Yeah.
You're in London. You're in the East Conference, so you've got, it's not the strongest conference in the Nexus League or Nexus Conference, but it'd be a good team for an average to great owner to come take over.
Yeah, probably maybe a little more of a challenge for
Yeah.
somebody who's a little more seasoned or knows their way around rebuilding a team, because they maybe have another year before they're going to drop off a cliff, and right now they're picking at 20, so you can kind of see they're in that spot where they want to still fight for the playoffs, and they've got some top end talent, but with it all aging out, how many more years can you put together a playoff roster with guys that are all 30 plus years old? Not super common, so have to see kind of how it shakes out for the London Lions, but they are a cool looking team. If you want to talk about cool looking teams, reasonable minds could disagree, but I will say that our New York team, I think, is pretty cool looking. So let's take a look at.
I love this team.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. So let's take a look at New York. New York Nightmare.
All I'll say about this team is, dude, I hated the logo. I didn't hate the logo. I didn't like the logo until we got in the game, and I got in there to do some player stuff, like knocking the devs off and stuff. And I think I messaged Baxter about 20 times, telling him how much I love the uniforms.
Yeah, let's go in, because you can't really appreciate it until you see the helmets. So
the helmets.
Yeah.
This is my favorite helmet in the game because it zooms in just enough.
Yeah, you get the little bit of the eyes near the ear hole, but it's mostly the New York City skyline with kind
That
of a
helmet
green
to
ripple.
me is the sickest helmet in this game.
It's pretty.
And
effing
that's
cool.
I mean, over my team that I picked, and I love my helmet. But to me,
Yeah.
that is a badass helmet.
I gotta say, I wanted to do right by this uniform because I knew that the logo. You weren't the only one who was not in love with this logo.
I liked it, and I okayed it, and I went with it. But yeah, I was like, first off, I could care less about New York. Second off, the logo's crap. I was like, I don't like the logo, blah, blah, blah. I was like, this team's going to be fun to beat up.
As
then
somebody who went to school, I went to film school in New York, and then I lived there again later. New York has a very special place in my heart.
See, it is a nightmare. So there you go.
And it can be a nightmare. But you guys have been so awesome, kind of letting me run wild with some of this stuff, and trusting that there's like a vision for some stuff. And I know this was there were other logos that were considered for New York. I felt strongly that I could do something cool with this one, and that thing on the helmet is exactly what I had in mind. So I'm really glad that it worked out the way it did. They also have a really cool like neon electric green alt jersey, which looks super sick.
Awesome.
If you look closely in the intro to this episode, when all the helmets are spinning and stuff, you see a guy jumping over somebody. That's a New York Nightmare player jumping over a defender with the ball. But this is a fun team.
I'm a fan of black. jerseys.
Yeah.
So I mean, right off the bat, I love this team. If someone does take over the Wildcats, this will be the team I probably take.
You know, it's funny because you said that with like 6 other teams, like the Crusaders and the Riot.
Yeah, but they're in the apex. I'm gonna try to stay in the
okay,
Nexus.
stay in the Nexus, right on. Well, they have a good team. What's interesting here is that Tucker Moore, who's almost 300 pounds at quarterback, so just another perfect fit for New York, right? Let's take a look at this kind of hefty QB
6'4",
here.
295.
All of their quarterbacks
But he has 84 speed.
He does. He's got wheels, man. He's like Jared Lorenzen, the Pillsbury throw boy.
Yeah. And they have about, they're pushing 30 million in cap space. So I mean,
no, I think they have considerably less than that because they can't afford to re-sign Tucker Moore. And in fact, all 3 of their quarterbacks are on expiring deals, and they have several other players.
And the neon
can't
shows
afford
27 million. So
yeah, there's something off with that because they have like you and I were talking about the other day. They had like 6 million or something at the time. It was like super low if you're actually in the game file. So like, who knows what New York's going to end up doing with their roster?
Yeah, they're definitely. This would be a good team for someone that wants a really cool looking team.
But rebuilding it.
You could come in and make a ton of cuts and have a great draft.
They picked 6th overall.
Yeah, I was about to say they're in the top 10. You can come in here and have a great draft. And I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, but I've looked at so many things for the draft. I feel like they have someone else's draft pick later too. But
do they? Let's see.
I don't know. But
they've got another 7th pick.
Yeah, so I mean it's later,
Phillies.
but yeah.
Philly, who is the next team we're going to look at, coincidentally. So
who also has an awesome logo.
They have an awesome logo, and they had the MVP of the 0 year. So let's go ahead. We've teased them enough. It is the last team of the Nexus East. It's our Philly squad. We are talking about the Philadelphia Fury with Nigel Crothers at quarterback.
Yeah, this is Nigel Crothers was the MVP.
The MVP.
The MVP of the league. He's a awesome quarterback. I love this team. We were trying to, to make Philly's another team where they're not really, due to real life situations, they're not one of my favorite cities to build for, but I love this team. I love this logo. They're
obviously inspired by the Flyers, not the Eagles. I've always loved the Flyers, just color palette of orange, and I know sometimes orange can look really rough, and I just thought there's a way to do this that is kind of the perfect marriage of the Philadelphia Flyers and Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's what you get is the trash panda for the Philadelphia Fury, which it just feels like a perfect. I don't know. It just felt when we were coming up with teams, like for whatever reason, this just felt so spot on and perfect for them.
Yeah, and they're a good team too. They won the division, obviously with the MVP of the league.
Yeah,
they won the division, which means
24th pick overall.
Yep, I was gonna say they're probably pushing back on the draft. They have a good, solid team. Obviously, a good passing attack.
Yeah, and
they're a good team. Like you said, we did not want to go green or anything Eagles related. So it was really cool. We were looking for like freedom or something like that to go with the logo, or the name. I love that we ended up going with Fury. I have Fury. I wanted Fury to be like a cool, like you said, more of a modern type mash of logos. One of the original concepts was like a helmet with like flames coming off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love them, the logo and stuff. It looks a lot like the Flyers, like you said. And I'm a huge hockey fan. Go Lightning! But yeah, it's
I can't say Go Sabres. It'd be disingenuous.
But yes, they're a good solid team.
They've also got an elite. They have 2 X Factor players. One of the rare teams that has 2 X Factor players. Crothers at quarterback, and then Greg Branch, the young pass rusher, had a phenomenal season and absolutely earned his superstar X Factor dev trait. And he's 2 more years under contract, only 23 years old, already 87 overall power rusher.
Yeah, and Crothers almost hit 5,000 on the passing. So I mean, he's a great guy, great team. This is a good if you want to come in and win early.
Yeah. They've
And,
got again a bunch of mid-20s guys with 80 mid-80s overalls. They're in a really good position to compete for a while. The thing they might need soonest than anything else is a quarterback. And right now they've got the MVP at quarterback, and they have a lot of really good talent. Even their kicker, 26 years old, 85 overall. Their punter's a little old. But yeah, they've got a really strong team. Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't go deeper into the playoffs. So I think, add a couple players here or there, make a good draft decision, at the top or at the back of round one. And, this team could be right there at the championship game or at least knocking out the door.
Yeah, and they have decent room on the salary cap. They were the number 3 seed in the playoff. They've got a good team. This would be a good team for someone to come in and we talked earlier on some of the other teams in the Apex Conference. A good team for someone to come in as an owner and keep Crothers 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
And then the next draft, there's a feast of quarterbacks to choose from that you could.
Yeah, that year 2 draft is gonna be popping.
So year 1 draft has probably 7 to 8 or 9 user guys in it, and then probably another 10 or 15 really awesome generics like McNamara.
Yeah, there's probably legit 20 to 25 like round 1 talent guys in the first round of the draft. I mean, I think you're never going to get 32 absolute round 1 quality picks, but even our year 1 draft is for only having that 10 or so user submits, user recruits. It's still a pretty quality draft class.
Yeah, but that year 2, man, we're pushing 30. We went from like 7 or 8 user players to like 30 in year 2, and it showed.
I mean, huge. That's a huge growth, and we're doing that on the old game. So imagine, you guys watching this right now.
The first year on the new college game. These are all on the old NCAA 14. It is the revamped mod that I run. So, but the year 3 season will be on the new game. But if you haven't seen any of the college games, go back and watch some of the other seasons. Skip Lloyd calls every Saturday night's games.
Get ready for. I was gonna say you call some of the
Sunday night games, but yes, that's what I was gonna say. Week 13 starts January 6th or 7th, whatever that Tuesday is, and got 2 to 3 more weeks to go, and then
get up on the draft, get bone up. Now's the time. It's the end of the season. You will probably have a podcast where we talk about potential award winners for college. We'll probably do some mock drafts, I imagine. Compare that to what the computer and Madden thinks the mock draft potential is. But a lot of exciting stuff to come. I mean, this is kind of a rebaptism for the new year by launching these new teams and these new divisions and conferences. And with the college season finishing up, we have the new recruit all-star game, which is taking place in the new game, the new Madden or college football game.
That will be in the new game. Yeah,
a lot of cool stuff going on. But I guess since we are doing this, we've got 4 teams left in the West. So let's go out west to one of my low-key favorite teams, just because they're different and I think they're fun. So let's take it out to the Southwest specifically here. The Albuquerque Dukes. Thank goodness I don't have to spell Albuquerque every week.
Dude, it's horrible. Albuquerque Dukes. They won their division. They made it pretty far into the playoffs. They have like $100 million in cap space.
Yeah, they've got the 27th overall pick.
Yeah.
A bunch of cap space, a talented roster. I think one of the things that's most important for them is also quarterback, but I don't know. They're not going to get it in the draft, or most likely they're not going to get it in the draft. They've got William Paulson. Paulson's been, good, but he's old, 38 years old. You got Aaron Rodgers essentially over here. And the guy's, he's not running around, he's a pocket quarterback.
Running back, though, 999 yards.
Oh, wow. For Tomlinson?
Yep.
Oh, that's too bad. But yeah, they've got a good team all around. I think, with Earl Rose at
I felt like Earl
wide
Rose should have
receiver.
been one of the dev traits, but
He probably, he probably should have been. There's always going to be guys that get left on the cutting room floor, but Earl Rose, he'll probably earn it this year. In year one, I would be shocked if he did.
Speedster, he's a great guy, and this was a fun team. On a little sidebar, this was a fun team to come up with the logo and uniforms and stuff with because, again, this was. I lived in Albuquerque whenever we made this team. I lived in Albuquerque for I think 3 weeks one time, so maybe 6 weeks at the most. So when we were coming up with the team, I was like, let's do Albuquerque. We've never done, I've never seen an Albuquerque team, and then you guys were like, what's out there? And I said sand and scorpions.
Yeah.
But so we ended up doing some research, and we found out that they have a lot of rabbits, and I can't remember what the Duke came from.
The Duke was it was some, I don't remember if it was like conquistadors or there was some tie-in with like Spanish militia somehow and Spanish royalty. So it just kind of became like, we'll call them the Dukes, but it'll be a little fight.
Really cool
bunny, and it came out a lot more fun than we thought. Here's another guy that, if we had to go back and redo those devs, would Juan Baker end up on there? He probably would, at least a star dev. I mean, you got to cut the list somewhere, but Juan Baker, don't mess around. This guy is a tough nose tackle, and was really the tip of the spear as far as their defense when it came to run stopping. Had a really good season. I think he had a lot of sacks as well. So Baker was just a really strong component of their team. And like Back said, a quality team that, it looks like the thing they're missing out on is really at quarterback. And there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks in free agency kind of floating around. It'll be curious to see if any of the teams trade for quarterbacks, because several teams have at least an 80 or higher overall backup quarterback, and some teams have less than that. So you got to wonder how are teams going to acquire talent, and you got to wonder if left to the computer's devices, Albuquerque will probably just roll with William Paulson. But you got to wonder.
The thing too is with William Paulson is he's like their highest paid player.
Yeah, so you can't really get rid of him. So you got to kind of.
He only has 1 year left on his contract.
Let him finish the deal, I guess, or take the $20 million penalty to trade him.
Yeah, so he's at like 50 million. So
yeah, going to be hard to move on from him. But they already have plenty of cap space, so it's not really about cap. It's about just what's going to be best for the team, and probably to roll one more year with an 87 overall quarterback.
I mean, there's worse things to worry about.
Yeah, figure it out next season, especially if you can beef up.
Knowing that all those guys are coming in at quarterback in the next draft, I mean,
could be perfect. Albuquerque could end up looking real good for a long time.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about another team not too far from Albuquerque. The Arizona or Tucson Sandstorm.
Yep. Cool logo. I love this logo. I know I say that about all of them. But, I mean, it's cool logo, cool uniform, cool field. They're a cool team. They didn't play as cool as they could have.
Yep, they definitely could have played a little better. They've got kind of a sandy sort of jersey, which is cool. But yeah, definitely a team that feels like maybe they underperformed, or is their roster just not that good? Because they ended up with the 18th overall pick. So again, kind of a no man's land.
Yeah.
Their best player's a right guard, which is never good.
Yeah, I mean they have a ton of players coming up on free agency. It's going to be a rough go. Jake Acosta at quarterback he's a good guy. He's pushed 4,000 yards passing. I mean, he's a good player. They're another team with almost $100 million in cap space.
But they are also tied to Acosta, right? Because I mean, he's got a lot of money.
He's their highest paid player at 49.
Yeah,
and he has 4 years left. So
yeah, they're kind of stuck with Acosta. I mean, you could, I guess, in theory, get another one and just sit Acosta, but trading him is going to hurt you more than holding on to him.
Yeah, I mean, he's like you said. I'm kind of curious to see how they did in the division.
The rest of this division.
Yeah, they came in third. They
was going to say
10-7, so.
Oh, they did. They were 10-7. Okay.
Yeah,
Better than I thought.
Yeah,
I thought
the
they were
Dukes,
9 or 8
the
teams.
Dukes won it at 12-5, and they came in third at 10-7. So
The
yeah.
Dukes won it, so that means this next team
the
lost it.
Sandstorm, yeah, they're a good team to take over if someone, someone like you said, someone that has a good knowledge and a good working Madden. You have a lot of cap space, but you're gonna have to use it in the next 2 to 3 years because you got a lot of re-signings coming up.
Yeah. Well, with only 2 teams left, let's take a look at the loser of this division next. The Portland Grunge.
Oh, Portland Grunge. They
did not have a good year.
They were 4-13.
Yeah.
Last in the division. 63 million in cap space, 60-ish in cap space. They're not a bad team. They're 85 overall, which is
right. They should have been better for sure.
Par for the league. They had pushing 1,000-yard rusher. Their quarterback Josh Cannon didn't have a bad year, but didn't have a great year.
Yeah, he's not quite the Cannon either. He's only a 93 throw power, and he's also a 76 speed. Kind of an
He's
average
not
sense
their
of pressure.
highest paid player, so.
And they have some room, you said, on the cap, right? They are
around 60 million, yeah.
So they could do something there. He's got, I think, a couple years left though, so kind of stuck with Cannon at least a little bit.
But one of those really, off the normal logos. It actually looks really good in the game.
Yeah.
Logos, their uniform. I like their uniforms. It's an iteration of black and gray. So.
Yep. That's one where I think had Team Builder been a little more accommodating, I probably would have done a few things differently with their uniforms.
Yeah.
But and we also talked about it would have been more fun for this team to be Seattle.
When we go to the full mod, if
we'll make them
around. If they're not taking over,
right.
They'll be moving to Seattle.
So, but Portland, Seattle,
childhood, so that's why we went with Grunge. It's cool to have them in the game. Yeah. You see their rosters; they need some help. They got good offensive linemen, but
other than that, defense is really tough for them, kind of all over. They have a decent secondary, decent middle linebacker.
They have a pretty high draft pick.
Yeah, they're the 3rd overall pick.
I was gonna say they were in the top 5. Yeah.
So you never know. That'll be interesting, right? Because we've talked a lot about, or at least on the board, the league office, we've talked about kind of what's going to potentially happen in the draft. Because we're not gonna control every pick. There may be a couple teams where we hop in and strategically, we all kind of have like a backup team, so to speak. That we want to make sure that we're trying to create as realistic a scenarios as possible. But I don't know that anyone's going to hop on the Grunge and actually manage anything for them for the draft. So who knows? Unless a user owner comes in and says, "Yeah, I want the Grunge," who really knows where they're going to go? Because they have a lot of places, a lot of holes with the 3rd overall pick. And again, we're not trading 1st-round picks, so they got to take somebody there. So it'll be curious to see who they do take.
Yeah, and someone contacted me in DMs today about taking over a team. That question. So say someone took over Seattle or Portland in the game, and we go to the full mod and they're able to move them, and they asked if they would be able to move and take over that team and completely. And that's the ideal, right? Is they come in, they prove that they're not gonna jack everything up and that they're competent. And you get to remake the logo and the city and wherever you're going, but you have to stay within the division.
Right. So you can't take a team in the north and suddenly relocate them somewhere south.
They can't move Seattle to Brooklyn. Yeah.
Right. It's got to be within the regional proximity. And even then, if somebody's an excellent designer, would love to see their ideas, for logos and stuff, but we still kind of have a standard that we'll have to either help make, the logo that you're looking for, which was a really fun process that we went through for a lot of these teams and all these teams really. Or if you're really exceptional, you might be able to do it yourself, but either way, like you can have the idea, you can have the name, you can pick the colors, and we'll work with you to create the best possible logo that represents the league and the best possible uniforms to represent that team. So super exciting prospect about, whether or not these guys live long enough to make it to Seattle as the Grunge. The Portland team could certainly use some help from anybody who's looking to have a high draft pick right away and maybe sneak one of those elite quarterbacks or elite skill position players at the top of the draft.
Yeah, and I only brought that up because the question was specific to a Seattle team. So
Okay. Well, these are the guys that most likely you'd end up replacing then, because if it's something like that where you really want a city, and that city already exists, it makes the most sense to only change the branding of a team versus mix around and try to force two other teams to relocate just so you can have a different roster. I mean, that's part of it, right? When you become a head coach in the real football world or a GM, you don't get to pick, oh well, I want that team's roster in this team's city. Like, that's not how it's going to work. You're going to have to get, if you really want a team in Seattle, you're probably going to have to take Portland and the roster that comes with it. And then that's the cool thing, is you get to make them in your own image, rebuild the team, rebuild the logo, the uniforms, the franchise. But you're going to have to do that starting from the base of the Portland grunge.
Yeah, and I mean, it is what it is. Our hands are tied right now. So, as unique and awesome as these logos and teams are, we are still, tied a little bit. But
yeah,
no one's ever seen these teams before.
Hey, they're new to you guys. They're new to us, and we're really excited to share them with you. And with that, there's one team left for us to share, and maybe a fitting one to end on, because along with the Buffalo Brawlers, they made it to the 0-year Super Bowl. So let's take a quick look at our last team. The Honolulu Surf with Dennis Huggins, former X Factor quarterback, no longer.
One of the only quarterbacks that was over 5,000 yards passing, with 1,000 yards rushing receiver or running back, and a 1,500 yard receiver. They are a legit offensive nightmare for anybody playing them.
Yeah, the Surf was a really fun
pushing
thing to
$100
watch.
million in cap space. They've got the team, they've got the money, they've got the kick butt logo.
Yeah,
and they're in Hawaii, so
what else could you want? And what's really funny, I noticed at the last possible second, we had a fun little video that dropped to kind of tease this episode, and it kind of showed little peeks of some of the teams. And that one of the very last shots is the Surf and the Brawlers kind of matched up at like a championship showdown. And sure enough, and that video was made way before we simmed the 0 year. So just the total randomness that the Surf and the Brawlers end up being the 0 year championship teams was just a funny little sort of thing that I noticed. And I was like, you know what? No one's ever going to notice that, but I will. And I want to say it out loud. But the Surf are an awesome team. They have some alt uniforms too, like a dark tide that is really cool, kind of looking, like a darker
this
color.
Is a very cool team.
Yeah. Their field is cool. Their end zone is cool. It's kind of got like an orange wave sort of thing going on. Huggins is getting up there a little. That's why we kind of chose to step him off the X Factor. He's already had such high progression for so long. He doesn't really need the X Factor at this point. He's 32 years old. But like Back said, they have a really good team. You got a young running back in Jeremiah Porter, who's not only fast, but he's powerful. He had, I think you said like 1,500 yards, right? The running back.
He had 1,000 yards rushing.
1,000 yards. Okay.
The wide receiver had 1,500 yards receiving.
Mitchell did?
Yeah,
because Mitchell at 26 years old is a 91. Winter at 27 years old is a 92. So they got two elite receivers. They've got a tight end that's a little older, but Greg Whitaker is only 23 years old and it's 79 overall. It will be a kind of instant replacement for Tyreek Little. They have a strong offensive line to the point where you could take a backup from one position and trade him away because you have so many other good guys at starters. They have a young defense with a couple guys who are aging out, but their defensive tackles are strong. Their middle linebackers are strong. Their secondary, has two, mid-20s guys that are 80 or above. Safety may be a spot they could use some help, but again, overall, they got lots of money. The only thing they don't have is a high draft pick. They got the 31st pick in the draft.
So anyone that wants to take these guys over, obviously, like we said, they have the awesome logo, uniform, field, everything's going for them aesthetically. They have the 90 something million in cap space, but the negative for someone wanting to build this team is as awesome and as good as they are, they are going to be a complete rebuild.
Yeah.
Because after this year, Huggins is up.
Yep.
Back, which he's old, so he'll probably be gone. Porter's up at running back.
Yep.
Winter's up at receiver.
So be careful signing too much this year if you take these guys over.
Half their offensive line is gone after this year or up for re-signing. Their strong safety is up. I mean, they have a lot of guys that are going to be gone after this season. So, like you said, that's what I was getting at. So, someone that takes this team over, don't go hog wild on the signings, because next year you're going to be you're going to be way up here with cap space, and the next year you're going to be way down there. So.
Yeah, and then you'll be looking at, well, what do we do at quarterback? And if you're trying to sign a quarterback, good luck, because they're going to demand a lot, because there's a lot of good ones. And
you might have Burt Bean here at Honolulu next season.
Yeah, that means they'd have to tank.
Toby Fortune might be a Surf player.
Yeah,
so.
I think it'll be interesting to see, because the Surf are going to be in a unique position where they probably won't want to hold on to Huggins after this season, and they're going to probably want a young quarterback, but will they be able to get one, because they might still be too good and still end up deep in the playoffs or in the championship game again, and then be in a position where they need a quarterback, but now they're picking 31st again, or 32nd. So it'll be interesting to see how whoever runs the Surf, or if the Surf is left to their own devices for a while, kind of how they self-navigate some of the murky waters that they're going to have to be surfing.
Yeah, this will be definitely one of those teams. It'll be cool to see what they do in the draft, because they don't need a lot of help this year, but they need a lot of help next year. So.
Soon, right. So have fun.
Definitely, this first year, in year one, we've already said it a couple times, you could not trade your round one picks, because we wanted everyone to have a base. But I believe we're going to let them next year. So
yeah, I mean, I think the we had only said it was just to determine draft order, and we were going to sit on that, and anything else is fair game. The future, if somebody wants to trade future first round picks,
well, that's what I was getting at. This would be an awesome. This would be one of those Belichick situations where you trade the first round. I would, if this was year two, I would not even pick the first 3 rounds with Honolulu. I would trade back my first 3 picks. So
see if you can get some futures or some other younger player talent there.
Have 12 round 7 picks.
Yeah.
Trade those first round draft picks for the next year, and when you really needed them. So then you bank on somebody like Chicago or
somebody who needs them, or even at some point consider, hey, what would Dennis Huggins fetch you if you shipped him off this year in his last year? You're going to save 24 million. Sure, you'll eat 14 on this year, but
you'll still come out 7-8 million in the in the
you'll come out better. Can you limp along with a good team and some makeshift quarterback for a season? If not, then you're in good position to take a quarterback.
I would suck it up, go for another run with Huggins and the running back, and then next year
see what happens. I mean, they were right there. They were knocking on the door. They had a chance, but
it was a good championship game.
It was. The Brawlers were just too much. Andrew Frost was too much, but Huggins, his time is coming. It's that meme where Death is kind of like knocking on all the doors, down the hallway, and Huggins might be the next door for Death. So we'll see what happens this season. But that's it, you guys. We've gone through all 32 teams. We are dropping the Neon Sports link in the chat before we end the show right here. And now it's time. You can dive in. You can learn all about these teams. Ask us questions in the Discord. You can ask them here, but Discord will be around forever. So ask questions about players or teams in there. Anything you want to know. We're super excited. That you guys
contact us on the YouTube page.
Yeah.
Put any questions that you have down in the comments on the YouTube page. Follow us. Subscribe.
All that stuff. That stuff. We do this as much for you guys as we do for us, but it's a ton of fun. And you got anything before we wrap, or is that a wrap on Apex and Nexus team reveals?
Do we want to go over, or do we want to wait later for the pricing for it to run a team? Because we've talked about.
If you want to, I mean, hey, we just revealed all 32 teams. Might as well let people know.
Yeah, and I only bring it up because again, I've been getting a lot of DMs lately. But so this first season, again, the whole point, you have to pay That's A, to make sure that you're committed and that you're not just come in and destroy a team.
Yeah, because
And
if
B,
you do,
it's
we'll find
because
you.
you win. If
Right,
you
you-
win, I mean, this is the only league I know that's going to have cash payouts. So
Or you'll make back more than you put in.
Yeah.
If you win.
So, but
you know?
that being said, the first year, because we do realize, whatever excuse you can give me, because I've heard 900 excuses of why you shouldn't have to pay. But the first season, we're only going to charge, it's only going to be $200 an organization.
Which is a steal if you think about it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what a month. So, I mean, it's $200 a year. It's not that bad. It's for the inaugural season. You come in, you run a team, you prove your worth, and then next season you get to do what you want to do with the team. And it's your team for good. That being said,
Now there is an annual fee, and that is a year one.
Yes, that
price.
is the year one discounted
founding fathers fee.
Inaugural founding fathers fee is $200 an organization. Yes, everyone pays it. Every team that's in the league pays it, and it goes to running the league, and we don't get any of it. It goes to running the league.
We're out of pocket right now. We're out of pocket on this thing.
Yeah, Baxter's paid out of pocket. I've paid out of pocket for a couple of things. I mean, we're running this league for us and for you. I mean, but mainly for you guys. We have fun. We're part of it. But anyway, my point was it's $200 for the first year. It's a steal. Come in, get in while the fee is lower. And we will be putting, once you get into the Discord, we've talked to those guys before a couple times about the payouts. MVPs will get, the players are going to get payouts, so it's not just the owners.
If a CPU player of yours wins an award, you'll get that, I imagine.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
If it's anything in your organization, but if it's like, say I play for another guy and I win the award, I get the money, not the owner.
Right.
So, but I mean, there's positional awards, there's MVP award. Everybody's getting money, and I mean, you're not going to get rich now, but later on, we've done the math. Once we have a full league and the payouts go after year one, the payouts, the dues do go up, and again, that's to just increase the commitment because there's a potential down the road for owners to make a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, we've already. I mean, look, I don't want to tip our hand too early, but look, this is we're all adults that run this league. We all have careers, which also means we have connections elsewhere, which means we've had some interest in sponsorships and types of things that can generate more additional revenue. We're slow rolling that stuff because we want to get this league out, rolling, running, working the way it should before just piling things like that on. But the whole purpose of this league is to have a lot of fun and get some skin in the game and get some money. What's better than a league that you can actively be a part of, managing a team and make money? It's like fantasy, but for real, Yeah,
and that's what I always tell people when they ask me about these leagues, like these teams, is I always tell them it's fantasy football on steroids, man.
Yeah.
It's fantasy football, but you have control over the team. So it's a lot of fun. I love this league. I love being able to do this stuff, and I just wanted to put that out there because I keep getting, I can't pay money because my sister's cat needs surgery and
that's okay. You don't have to run a team.
Exactly.
I mean, there's a big difference between you can be a player for free in the college league.
Yep. Go make a player in college and bring him up through the league.
Right.
If
you can be a paid tier player in college, or if you really want to put your money where your mouth is, you can be a GM owner. But that's not for everybody. We're not desperate to find people. We'd rather find the right people who are willing to take it with the same level of seriousness that we all do, and that is adamant about putting together a winner and making some cash and having a lot of fun and keeping some smack talk going, and maybe even rebranding their franchise. But ultimately,
please talk smack. My God, I can't stand a quiet chat. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. That's why we wanted to go. That's why the league is called Football Rivals, guys. Like, talk some crap to each other.
Yeah, and we gave you 32 teams now to find some rivalries, find a team to fall in love with, to support, And whether you're liking the New York Nightmare, the Albuquerque Dukes, or the Buffalo Brawlers, or the Columbus Crusaders, we've got 32 brand new teams that you've never seen anywhere else. Now you can see them, you can check them out, you can figure out which team you're going to root for or which team you're going to run. And we're really excited to find out how that's going to happen, see what else is going to happen. We've got championship college football action coming up. We've got a draft coming up. We've got plenty of podcast content between now and the draft. We got a lot of stuff coming your way, guys, for Football Rivals, and it's a great time to be jumping in and supporting us.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say is, nothing is going to be rushed. It's all been done very well. And if you're worried about coming in as an owner, you will have plenty of time to get situated before the season starts and come in, look at your team's situation. You can look at the Neon Sports and do your research, figure out where you want to get. We'll get that updated. And once you pay your dues, you're in the file and you can see whatever team you want to. Like, you pick your team and you're in the game.
There you go. It's that easy.
So, forgot where I was going with. Don't worry about being rushed. It's not like you're gonna have to pay your $200 and then, I gotta pick a team. I gotta do this. There's plenty of time.
Yeah, there's time.
3 to 5 weeks left of college season. Then we're gonna have at least a month to run through the preseason and let you guys find your playbooks, your schemes,
right?
Your starters, your subs. You have control of the team. There's plenty of time. Not be rushed.
But we want to get this out there now so you guys can start looking at the teams and figuring out which teams you're into.
Correct, because we do need, there are 5 to 8 guys that are there. There's 3 guys I know of that are waiting till this drops so they can pay me the money and take over their teams.
Right.
So there's at least 3 teams gone right now. So
yeah, it sounds like quite a few more potentially on the way. So thank you guys if you've watched all the way through. If not, if you're fast forwarding and jumping around, either way, we really appreciate you guys checking this out. And enjoy the Neon Sports link. Enjoy all 32 teams between the Apex and the Nexus conferences. And we'll be bringing you some more content real soon.
Yep. Peace.
Peace.